Shot me a bunch of punches, didn't finish. Now you're about to feel the wrath of a menace. Nigga, I hear them all. Now we do it, keep it real. It's penitentiary still. This ain't no freestyle battle war. You niggas getting killed with your mouths open. Trying to come up off of me, you in the clouds open. Smoking dope is like a Shaman. Niggas think they learn to fly, but they
Okay, we're here. Hey everybody, welcome. This is Lossless episode 12, and I'm joined by Mr. Josh Denny. Hi, Josh. How you doing? No, I said it first. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I just had to mute you. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, so this is kind of interesting. The last episode, I was talking to Comedy Shaman, and I had him on, and we were bringing up. He had me bring up
strong. He seems has very strong opinions about things he has no information about.
Okay. So Shaman was like obsessed with bringing up this clip from Redbar talking about Vito and Dick Masterson. And it was about him obsessing over them or simping for them was his words. And he made an accusation there about Vito. And so I reached out to Josh after that. And at first, in fairness, Josh was like, fuck you, you suck. Like, you're one of these shows that just covers other podcasts. And you just let that guy make an accusation. In fairness, I did question him because I don't like that word being thrown out like with no evidence or anything. So I did push back a little bit, maybe not as much as I should have, but I did say, is it on record? Okay.
And it's one of those selective internet things where like, this is one of the things I hate about these shows is that people will be like, you know, somebody will make a joke about something and then go like, no, but this guy really is though. Like if somebody makes a racial joke or a pedo joke or whatever, you know, they'll be like, no, but when he does it, he means it. And it's just like, it's such a dumb selective believing of people. You know what I mean?
Well, I did say this because there's been other people, and I did bring up, I think, Bobby Lee we were speaking about, and Anthony Cumia, and from my knowledge, and he tried to give me some other evidence, but I said, I know like with Anthony Cumia, there were certain things where they were saying, this guy's a creep, and I was like, okay, well, what's the evidence? And they were like, well, he follows this person on, it was a kid who was following on Twitter, or now X, and that's the evidence. And it's like, well, do you know if he knows this person? Is there messages? Is there anything?
Oh. I like that one. When I get that too from trolls where they're like, he's liking this 17-year-old girl's post. I go, yeah, it's my niece, you fucking creeps. Like, I do think that one's funny. They just forget that we're people and we have like relatives and, you know, I'm getting old enough to the point now where I have friends whose like kids play sports. So like, yeah, if you dig through my Instagram, you'll find me pictures of me like liking 14-year-old girl jujitsu videos, and it's like, yeah, it's one of my best friend's kids. So, you know,
no,
I just think
Josh, you love jujitsu girl videos. I know it.
I do. I love them. You're right. It's my number one. It's my number one sex vice.
Here, my camera's fucking up a little bit. Let's see if it will catch back up. 1, 2, 3.
Oh yeah, you're delayed on my end too.
Yeah. Wait. I think we're back. Okay, I think we're back. Let me try. Let's turn this off for now. No, I get that. And so the other thing was he brought up this guy Vito, who I don't really know. I don't really even know Dick Masterson at all because I haven't watched that podcast yet. And I guess you could defend him for him. I don't know because I've never spoken to him, but I'll retract whatever I said because I never made the accusation, but I had someone on who did, and he claimed that there were some sort of messages that were leaked. But I
don't know anything about that. I just know that like if you go back to the day after we did the special taping, there was like a gigantic Kiwis Farms thread that was people trying to say that my shirt was like a pedophile dog whistle. And
what the fuck?
It's like, yeah, because it had triangles on it. And I guess there's like some sort of like thing where
the symbol, yeah.
Yeah.
The FBI symbols.
Yeah, which apparently any triangle that closely resembles that means pedophile city. So I just know how the internet is with that. And I also know that Vito's a comedian and leans into it. And so when people go, "No, but he's admitted it." It's like, "Are you so dumb you don't get bits?" Like on his show, they did a whole thing where, like if you're not familiar with The Biggest Problem, they come in with, things that they think are the biggest problem in the universe every week. And it can be things that are really mundane and small, or they could be things that are like bigger philosophical things. And, his argument, the thing that made the whole Vito as a pedophile thing was about him getting in conservatives' feelings about the movie Cuties. Like, remember when that came out? Everybody was freaking.
Yeah.
Is Netflix allowing pedophilia? And so, Vito being, what's the word I'm looking for? Terminally contrarian. I think that's probably the best way to put it.
That guy Sneeko did that too. Do you know Sneeko?
Like, I love Cuties. I think it's the greatest movie ever. And it's like, the guy's doing it.
I guess he was trying to. In his case,
think some of Vito's bits are gay? Yes, I give him shit for it all the time. But a man with terrible bits does not a pedophile make.
I just think in this day and age, it's hard to joke around about child stuff and being edgy in that case. Like I remember that kid Sneeko caught a lot of shit for that because he was basically saying, well, no, this is showing like how the industry works, that they're taking advantage of little kids. And it's like, but they used actual children in the film and the actual children are being exploited. You're kind of missing the point. And then, but I know he was making that point just to get the rise out of people. And that's what people, so you say that this is the
problem with like Sneeko and shows like Fresh and Fit and shit like that, where they're like constantly lobbying for new age of consent laws. Yeah. So it doesn't like, it's kind of hard when you sort of like live in that realm of like, what is consent really? To then also be a guy who's like, I'm just doing bits. So I mean, I get what you mean when you say that, like,
or they'd be like, oh, well, the age of consent in Canada is 15 in this province. When it gets to that point, I think that's kind of weird too.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that the age of consent should be 60 because I think that that's an age where women might actually have a grasp on their own decision making.
Yeah, I think there should be a federal, in all seriousness, federal law that's like 18 across the board, and that should just be it. None of this fooling around and going across state lines. I know Sam High, there was a whole thing with him going across state lines, an argument over whether it's legal or not because she was 17. And
I don't know anything about that. I do know that America has there are some places that have some fucked up laws where like I guess there are laws, I think it's Massachusetts, where like a parent can legally sign their 12-year-old to marriage to like a full adult, which is insane to me. Yeah. But my philosophy is if you can go to war and pay taxes, that should be the age for everything, right? So like if you can pay taxes at 18, then you should be able to have a beer. That should be the age for consensual, sexual behavior, whatever. To me, that is like, it should all be the same. That makes the most sense to me. You don't want state. I as much as the libertarian in me is like, let the states decide. We let Massachusetts decide, and they were like, I don't know, 12. And you're like, oh no, absolutely not. So no. If you get a permission slip, 12 is fine. Like, no, I don't think so.
Oh, I guess they thought, well, if we have the parents' permission, they know best. And no, we've learned
isn't that just state-sanctioned human trafficking?
Yeah.
I mean, no, guys, we got the paperwork. It's fine.
So there's like I guess this is what the controversy is from what I've seen you say and what other people have said is that you feel like you've been targeted for your opinions, right? And they claim that that's not the case. Like, they'd be like, no, Josh isn't canceled. He's not canceled. Because
I think the concept of canceled is stupid.
It's it's been overdone, right?
Yeah, a lot of people like, what I don't like is I'll do a lot of these it's almost like to me, canceled is like Coke. It's a brand name now that people use for describing somebody who's counterculture. But like, I'll go do these political fundraisers or You know, like when I did, like if I do events with Walkaway, like they always intro you as like, he's a canceled comedian. It's like, who's really canceled? You know what I mean? Like, to me, canceled means you quit trying. And, you know, so that's why, like, I put it in my bio sarcastically because I think the whole thing is gay and stupid. And it is also funny because, you know, inevitably when you have an opinion or you make a joke or something that people don't like, they're like, this is why you were canceled, because you're you know, they're like, you're not funny, or this is inappropriate. So I don't know. I just think it's a dumb thing, and I like to make fun of it. But
didn't Kanye kind of prove that cancellation doesn't exist?
I mean, I think if you can be like, I like Hitler and fuck the Jews, you know, before October 7th, I think you pretty much proven that, you know, there is no cancellation.
Not only that, he like tripled down on it continuously over and over, then made an apology it wasn't really an apology.
The last time I spoke to him was right after the Alex Jones interview, and he was giggling.
That was
like
amazing.
He was giggling like, I was like, dude, I've been doing comedy for almost 20 years. And that's the funniest shit I've seen somebody do. When he pulled out the net and the yoo-hoo and was doing like a voice. I mean, I don't know if the bit was great, but just Kanye doing
coming from him,
a Muppet voice was like hilarious to me. And I talked to him after that and was just like singing his praises about how funny it was. And then that was the last time I spoke to him, was that day. But yeah, I just think I think that's proof of it for sure. Like, you know, you're always going to have the ability to, like, if you're on one side, you're going to pick up fans from that side. If you're on the other side, you're going to pick up fans from that side. I think the really hard thing is for the people who try to stay neutral or in the middle, because I think people are starting to see that as being cowardly rather than like business smart. But again, my circle is very slanted that way too. So naturally, there are a lot of people, like most of the people I talk to who love Shane Gillis are like, oh, the thing I love about Shane is that you really don't know his political opinions. And I'm like, well, that's beneficial.
No, you don't like that's like Mike Redbar. He likes to sit on the fence and never tell you because he's afraid of losing audience members. The money is the controlling factor. If we're going to talk about cancellation, I mean, think about with Kanye, what he said. Sure, he wasn't canceled. He still had a #1 album, right? #1 song. But, you know, the Adidas deal, they took that away from him, and now they're selling those shoes without his consent. They found some loophole to continue selling these Yeezys on like the Confirmed app. I saw they still sell these shoes over and over. Like, he's not making money from that at all now.
I know they tried to like mend fences with him a few months back, or maybe it was at the end of last year. So I haven't talked to him directly since whenever the Alex Jones thing was. That was the last day we spoke. And then he when he got married, he went off the grid and changed his number and everything, and kind of stopped talking to me, and I think stopped talking to Owen. Grid. And that was around when Milo took everything over. But I'm still good buddies with Steven Smith, who's like the only employee who's survived all of this shit. And so most of my knowledge of what's going on over there is through Steven, and I'll talk to him sometimes about, you know, what they're doing, and if he asks for my 2 cents, I'll let him know. But a lot of the times, like, Steven and I have we very much agree on what the business path should be. I think the hard thing for him and for the company, and which was evident the little bit of time I was working with those guys, was that, you know, trying to corral Ye into doing only one thing at a time is impossible. Like, the man thinks about a million different things at once, and he's always, you know, he's just sort of creatively running in 10 different directions at the same time. So getting like focus and follow through and commitment on stuff is really, really hard. And
I had a question because I heard there's rumblings of this. I was trying to figure out how it started. You worked with the Crocs industry or something, and that's how you first met him. Is this the truth? How did you meet? No, how did you get involved with Kanye in the first place?
Oh, no, Candace Owens put us in touch. Like, it was a weird thing. Like,
there wasn't Crocs involved. Somebody had said he worked.
I used to work for Crocs.
Worked for Crocs, right? And that's how it started. That's what I was told. Maybe I was lied to.
No. You're
Is it a joke? Was that a joke or something that they were trying to pull on me?
No. Well, first of all, there's so many like exaggerated lie versions of like what my involvement was with Crocs. I was a district manager at Crocs, but I was a district manager there when we had 4 operators that ran the entire retail side of the company. That was back in 2006.
And that doesn't connect to Kanye at all.
No, it does in the sense that when I tweeted out and tagged Candace Owens and saying like, it's weird that like now he's going through this sort of public scrutiny cancellation thing, and I've gone through things like that, and he's trying to take his footwear company private and do his own thing, and I somehow have a footwear background. Like maybe I'm supposed to meet this guy and we're supposed to work on stuff. Maybe that's why I have this background in footwear that I don't use for anything in my life, right? Like that was a 10-year period of my early adulthood, and I have I'm not involved in that world at all anymore and haven't been since like 2019. So I was just sort of like tweeting late at one night. It was just like, who knows? Maybe we're supposed to be put in touch with each other. And then Candace like texted me that day. I'm pretty sure this is the same story I told on Hotep Jesus. But she texted me that day and was like, give me your number. I'm going to put you guys in touch. And then he called me like the next day. And we just talked for like probably an hour, and he asked me for a business plan. And then, for the next, I think 2 months, we were going back and forth. Like he was constantly getting new lawyers and trying to change the business structure, and basically just trying to get it set up. And right around the time that he wanted to like put me on payroll is when he got hit with that frozen asset thing from Adidas, where I don't know how it worked, but they essentially like froze his accounts for unpaid taxes or unpaid monies or something. Mm-hmm. I got a very loose explanation of what it was. And by the way, I don't deserve a detailed explanation of it, but he was basically just like, hey, like the money's frozen right now. We can't do what we were going to do. And I can't bring you on at this moment. And I was like, that's fine, man. Like, I don't need to work for you to be your friend. Like, and which is weird because you get the distinct feeling that like, and I still think this is a problem where everybody in his circle is just people trying to take money from this guy and tell him what he wants to hear and just create a job for themselves. And I think like the thing that was really disappointing is he is really like an inspiring dude. Like he really does want to take like that 19-year-old prodigy and turn him into the next Ye. Like he very much, like you can tell, wants to do that.
Donda school.
He's excited to do that. Like he's excited to give kids the opportunity to become the next Ye. But I almost think he's a little overexcited, and then people take advantage of that. So like somebody will put together like a cool thing, and he'll be like, this is great. And they're like, hire me to be your head of marketing. And it'll be like, okay. And then they have no experience with marketing. And then, all kinds of mistakes are made and so on. So, and I keep up with a lot of this stuff because I'm friends with the Instagram account Kanye's Posts, Green Girl. So she does like, she's friends with Steven and myself. And so we'll get on calls every couple weeks and just talk about what's going on and what might happen next. And, and just at the end of the day, man, like I wish the best for the dude, and I hope he pulls through on the other side. And yeah, I mean, I think any person who's ever had this feeling of like a canceled moment where it's a lot of people pulling together to try to make sure that you can't make money anymore, if you pull for underdogs ever, you always pull for those people. And that's really what it is. I mean, like, you can say what you want, but there's been a lot of people saying a lot of anti-Semitic shit over the past, few months since the October 7th thing in the mainstream.
Free range now.
Ari Emanuel hasn't sent an open letter to banks and everyone else in the industry telling them to stop working with these people, but he did it for Ye. So, I mean, it's kind of crazy when you think about it.
The thing is that people don't give him the credit even in the fashion industry, because if you think about it, like I bought Yeezys way back, like I think when the first Wave Runners and stuff came out, the 350s. Now that he's not involved and you see what they've been releasing, you can tell it's totally different. It's just boring, the same shit over and over again. Mass produced now, whereas before it looked like someone actually had their hands on it, and so now he was actually involved in it. I want to ask this question. Someone asked it, $5. Chris Benoit, is Ye really producing porn now? I saw that Yeezy porn. Do you think that's a marketing gimmick, or he really is going to do like some high tier porno? That's
my understanding was that it was real, and then the story I got was that it was very real and it was very much going to happen. And then somebody got in his ear and was like, "You can absolutely not do this."
what happened to the God shit? What happened? It was the God yay, then suddenly I am God, and then
that's
fuck God. Let's start cursing and talking about bitches.
That was kind of. Listen, I understand the crisis of faith that he's probably going through right now.
Jealousy of Drake, like, maybe he's like Drake at the time before all this shit that happened recently. He's like the poster boy, and Ye wanted to make some more club music. Vultures was pretty much like a club album, which I liked, by the way.
Honestly, here's the problem. I think a lot of people think that because he's a genius, every decision or move he makes is calculated. I don't agree. I think he is a genius, and then I also think that he is the kind of person who's been a multimillionaire since he was 18. So he's impulsive and knee-jerk and also a human being who's experiencing a lot of different shit going on at the same time. And I think he's having a really human reaction to shit as it arises. So I think very much it was like, I'm God, fuck God, I'll make porno. And then the next day talking to a friend who's like, hey, maybe don't. And he's like, yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? Like, so I think he's I also think that one of the really tough things, and I have to speculate because I've never been to this level of success. I just know it on a much smaller scale, that like when you're up, everybody wants a piece of you. And then when you're down, everybody can't wait to throw you under the bus. And so when I imagine, I know how paranoid that makes a guy like me when it's happened on the small scale that it's happened with me when I've gone through different shit. I can only fathom what it's like when you're at his level and you have people coming at you for millions or billions or whatever, or they're trying to get into business with you with all these different things. And I've heard people, like on conference calls we had, commit to completely unrealistic deadlines. And I was like, sometimes I was the only guy on the phone going, are you guys fucking retarded? Like, there's absolutely no way you're going to ship, 2,000 units of anything in a week. Like, that's just unrealistic. But people will get on the phone with him and tell him everything he wants to hear because they think they can get money out of him. And I have too much integrity to do that. Like, I hate that idea. It feels like abuse, and it feels like people taking, advantage of somebody else's ambition and generosity, which is like super un-American. So,
that's probably plays into a lot of the disasters with these listening parties too, where he's like, I'm gonna have a listening party in Paris next week, and it's like, that's not possible. You cannot pull something together that quickly.
Yeah, and I know from one of the calls we had, like, he does have this he's very against the idea of actually ever performing again. Like, I think for him, there's that has been in his past, like the ultimate way he's been pimped by everybody is to just go out on tour and make a lot of people money. So I think the listening parties are a compromise because doing something to generate money is a necessity at this point. But I know that he's very much just doesn't want to perform. I feel like it's very similar to maybe Chappelle when he went to Africa and just left that $50 million Comedy Central deal on the table and didn't come back and do stand-up for years after all of that shit happened. So I feel like Ye is kind of in his Chappelle Africa phase, and then he'll whatever he does, he'll be fine. Like, the good thing is he's got the creativity to kind of dig his way out of it. I just hope that he does it in a way that's like him doing what he really wants to do and being happy and not having to involve anybody who doesn't have his best interest in mind, It kind of fucks Ty Dolla $ign a little bit, though, because I saw that he ended up doing a performance. I forget where he was, but he actually sang the songs using the same setup, with the big curtain that projects the image like they did with Ye. And he actually performed with a microphone. I think I think that annoys him that he's not actually able to perform his songs live, because I don't know, it's crazy. I don't know anybody else who could pull that off, where they
You have to pay for money to go watch the guys stand there and not actually perform the songs live. Like that's a different thing. That's I've never seen that before.
The fans are getting sick of it. Like if you go in the comments, or again, I get everything from Green Girl, who's my friend, and she tells me sort of what the pulse is from the fan base and everything. And there's two things that they got to figure out quickly, or they will lose everybody. Is number one, they got to get these fucking pods shipped, because some people have waited 4 to 6 months for their orders to be delivered. And then number two is they got to figure out touring, either stop doing the listening parties or start performing, because I would understand the listening party would be a cool middle ground if it was priced accordingly. If you're like, well, concert tickets would be $100, we'll do the listening parties for $40. And that would be like a nice middle ground. But the problem is you're charging concert prices, or even more than concert prices, and then you're watching karaoke, and it leaves people feeling like taken advantage of. They feel swindled. So, and that was the one thing I said was like, listen, man, I don't care how much Jew hating you want to do publicly. My only prerequisite is that you can never fuck over your fans, because the minute you fuck over your fans, you're dead in the water. Like, I think you can come back from anything. You just can't be dishonest with the people that support you.
Have you tried those $20 clothing from Yeezy? Because my brother got a couple of them. He said it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, that would be my concern. I mean,
He said literally the consistency of rags, and he wasn't joking. He said it, and I was hopeful, because I was like, he always wanted to sell $20 clothing, and now here's his actual opportunity to do it. And I was like, I bet it's probably 100% cotton, probably decent cotton, screen printing. It's not going to be the best, but I imagine he'd get a good. It's clearly just super mass produced. It's really, it's $20.
And that, by the way, when I was talking with him, this is 18 months ago now, like October, November of 2022. I was like, there's absolutely, if you want to be Walmart and sell $20 shit, I have no desire to come on board and work with that, because I just don't think it's realistic. And I also don't think it's his customer. Like, I don't think his customer is a $20 customer. I think it's like, and by the way, do that line, as a give back, like as something you're doing to sort of pay it forward. But your core brand has to be fashion forward.
He bought out a shit ton of Balenciaga clothing though, and sold those for $20 a piece. Kind of that was what was cool, when I was like, okay, he's showing that it's all bullshit. The markup is all bullshit. It's all in the name. You can make this same clothing for $20. And that, in my head, I was like, okay, so now this is going to be his version of that. And I was like, no, he just gave away Balenciaga clothing for $20 and lost money. You clearly cannot make those clothes for $20.
Yeah, the problem with the pods right now is that they cost $32 and they're selling them for $20.
I'll ask him. Former artist says, Josh, how did you make an SM7B sound like trash? LOL. Former artist. Paid $1.99. He sounds fine to me.
Plugged in.
Sounds good.
Could just be my voice.
I can't. Yeah, he paid $2 for that, Josh. It's very important.
Good. The coffee on him, I guess.
I would have. I would have. I don't know if I would wear Balenciaga at this point now, after what we saw with that whole thing. But now Kanye still supports Balenciaga now, it seems.
Yeah, I think some of that is just his contrarian nature as well, of like, if everybody goes one way, he wants to go the other way.
Could have been a bad apple. Could have been a bad apple too. A photographer who thought it would be funny to sneak that stuff in there rather than the overall company would be the excuse. But
when you see stuff like that, you're like, those are deliberate artistic choices, and that is not accidental. And what I hated was like, they were like, we fired the marketing person who did that, but it's like, yeah, but so many other people sign off at that level. Like, a CEO is probably signing off on a campaign of that degree. So it's the same thing that like Anheuser-Busch tried to do with the trans thing, right? Where they're like, no, we fired the marketing lady. And it's like, yeah, but that came across your desk and you didn't poo-poo it either. So, don't act like we had no idea.
Yeah. Oh my God. Why is it that I agree, in all of these like industries, these clothing industries, they're usually ran by gay men. No offense. And there's like kind of this aim to turn, because then you got the hip hop connected with this industry, and they're trying to get all the artists to wear this clothing. And so then next thing you know, you got a guy like Conway the Machine wearing Alexander McQueen skirts and going, yeah, I got that bag. I got that bag. Fuck y'all. I got that bag. I'll wear 20 skirts. I don't like it.
If you watched Gerard Carmichael's reality show at all, like he's very fashion. He came out last year or whatever, or 2 years ago. And then now he's fully in the fashion forward gay thing, to the point where like he was supposed to go to a longtime childhood friend's wedding, and they all had the same like tuxes picked out from Men's Warehouse. And he refused to wear the matching tuxedo and was like, I have to wear Tom Ford and only Tom Ford. And then literally was like and then showed up like late and missed the ceremony altogether because he didn't want to adhere to the program, and then basically like ruined his friendship with this guy because he was so fancy. So yeah, no, I don't take offense. It is a lot of women and gay guys. Like when I started working at Sean John, I worked for one of the guys from Crocs, two of the guys from Crocs, bought the Sean John retail business away from P. Diddy's company, which was owned by Bad Boy. Mm-hmm. And then they hired me to run it. And then they had another guy who was already there running it when it was under control by Diddy. And he was a gay black dude as well. So it's like, you're not wrong that most of the people at the helm of these things are gay dudes. And then now with everything that's come out about Diddy, you go, oh, now it makes even more sense that, the people running the show at Sean John before we bought it were a lot of gay dudes.
It used to be these podcasts that I would see of like black dudes sitting around that were like, they couldn't get their foot fully in the industry, and people would be like, oh, they're just bitter because they couldn't get signed by a label. And they would tell all these things like, hey, I got invited to this party, and the entrance fee is a guy grabbing your nuts. And if you don't let him grab your nuts, you can't get in. And it's like, these used to be funny clips of like, these guys are psycho. And now we're kind of seeing like all of this stuff is just true now. Like there is P. Diddy is the black Epstein.
Oh yeah.
No, Virgin Islands, same area. It's they learn from each other. So you got these guys teaching these black moguls. You got to become a black mogul. You got to become one of these guys, these sex trafficker guys. P. Diddy's an example.
Yeah, and also like part of the deal is allowing yourself to be sexually blackmailed, right? So like you got to do this shit and let them have that over you so they can control you. I mean, that was laughed at as a conspiracy for a long. Like I remember Eddie Griffin on the Comedy World for many years. People were like, "Oh, he's like a crazy black conspiracy theorist about how gay Hollywood is," and he's like, "They always trying to put that dress on you." And then Cat Williams says it on Club Shay Shay, and everyone's like, "See, this is what we've been talking about." And Eddie Griffin's got to be sitting there like, "I said this shit 20 years ago, and you guys tried to run me out of town."
It might also be that, I guess, like back then, 20 years ago, the climate was different where people kind of overlooked a lot more things. And now we're like, oh, yeah, the rock star, that's just the rock star life. Like, you're badass, you're a rock star, you get to have sex with underage women. And people just thought it was normal, like Steven Tyler and all these fucks. Like, now you realize, wait a minute, no, they were raping underage kids that whole time. So people aren't going to let it fly as much as they used to. It's just weird how open it is now. So now you got like Kendrick versus Drake, and then these rap beefs, like the Meet the Graham, start to sound like Kendrick somehow had insider knowledge that there was actually going to be some sort of raid that's going to happen in the future involving Drake or the people around him. And now it's like, did he make that shit up, or was there something there that he knows? I mean, he's been in the industry for a long time. He might have seen some stuff.
Isn't it wild that like the rap has become like The Sopranos, where you're like, oh no, this guy actually is working for New York. Like they got to worry about having spies. Yeah, they got to worry about having spies in their crew. It's insane. That
was my favorite part, where he's like, and one of them is actually standing next to you wearing a red shirt. he's your driver. I wonder if that worked. If Drake is like super paranoid now, because there was that shooting that happened outside of his house. Whatever happened to that? They ever found the guy?
I didn't see follow up from that at all.
Everyone just forgot about it. They're like, oh, that's weird. Security guard just got shot in Toronto, where they can't even have guns, and he's alive, I guess, but nobody followed up on it. They're like, yeah, that's got to be weird timing, because I think a week or two before that, The Weeknd, his manager or something's house was shot up too in a drive-by shortly before that.
What did you think about all the stuff about The Weeknd's HBO show being about Selena Gomez in real life? Did you think anything? Look at us like two fucking fags talking about music industry goss.
Are you talking about yeah, what was the name of the show? I saw
it's like The Starlet or something. I don't remember.
The Starlet? No, what was the one that he acted in? The Weeknd?
Yeah, he was in it. Yeah.
And it was about this woman who was becoming a star, and it got all weird and
The
kinky.
Idol. Yeah, I wasn't that far off. The Idol.
The Idol, yeah. And it was all kinky, weird shit going on. That was him enacting his real life.
Yes, but the rumor is that her character is completely based on Selena Gomez and his time dating her. And then the wild thing about that is like basically what he's insinuating is that all her shit about her illness and her mental health stuff is bullshit.
That's sick.
Completely made up, which is wild. Like, she hasn't commented or said anything on it, but like, there's no question that if you know any of the people involved, that's exactly who he's talking about. Like, her assistant is like this Jewish actress who's been in a bunch of stuff, and she's just like this sort of annoying, nagging assistant. And you're like, dude, that's literally supposed to be Selena's assistant. Like, anybody who watches Selena's cooking show, which is why I know any of this, knows that that's who she's supposed to be. So it's kind of crazy to me that as far as like even like hip hop blogs and pop culture stuff, that sort of flew completely under the radar, that like that's what he's saying with making that show. But it was a very cringe show to watch in the first place.
I see some people saying, come on, the dipe. I got that on my mind. The Idol was dope, let's be real. I in fairness, well made, but I just found some of the scenes that were just like, yeah, suck my dick in the fucking where they were in the dressing room. It's like, this is getting a little too real. I don't know if this is acting anymore.
Like if Harvey Weinstein got to make his own TV show. Like, that's what it felt like. Where he's just like, all right, in this scene, I'm going to be fucking two bitches. And they're like, hold on a minute. Is this in the script? He's like, nah, we going off the cuff. It's like, okay, I feel like you're kind of going a little rogue in the worst way possible.
Yeah, it made him creepy, and then it translated into real life, in my opinion. Now, if I see him, like, that guy rapes.
Yeah. If you remember, he played like a creep in that fucking Adam Sandler movie too. Remember when he was like greasing up his girl in the bathroom?
Oh, fuck.
And shit?
What was the last Sandler movie?
Oh no, the one that he did with the Safdies.
Uncut Gems?
Yeah, Uncut Gems.
That's it? I was just guessing. That's the only one I know.
That's it. Yeah, that was it.
Oh yeah, Uncut Gems was good.
It's great. But there is a scene in there where The Weeknd is like trying to get his dick sucked in a bathroom, and you're like, okay, this is this guy.
Oh shit, yeah, I don't even remember that part. So people are gonna get mad at me for not bringing this up, okay? What is the beef? Because I went back, this thing called Redbar Historia is what we were watching on the same episode where we brought up the stuff about Vito, and it's this guy who has made this YouTube channel that is kind of cataloging Mike's entire history, right? Mm-hmm. And it's very weird, this channel. It doesn't make sense, a lot of it, but somehow this guy has access to some of the oldest clips I've never seen before. And then I've seen some clips, and it's you, Patrick Melton, and Mike David on a show together. Mike is calling in. What was that? What was that scenario? And he was kind of like bitching at you for being an Uber driver. And I remember the whole speech of like, some of us have to work for a living. And you were kind of confirmed, Mike, your parents pay for the place you stay in. And Mike didn't go, no. He said, yeah, so that was kind of interesting because there's this argument over whether Redbar was helped out by his parents or not. Do you have anything to
Well,
say
and
about
you said dipes earlier, and at one point I tweeted like, "Oh, it makes sense that Uber driver would be a terrible job for you if you had to change your diaper all the time. Like, I can't imagine a worse existence than if I were shitting myself and had to be in the car all day."
Let me tell you, Josh, the diaper is not even a joke. Do you know that?
I know it's not a joke.
It's been confirmed.
It's not a joke. Do you know how many people? What I think is funny is that, like, for as many actual Red Bar cultist trolls as there are an equal number in my purview of people who hate it, who listen just to send clips to everybody who wouldn't like it. Or like would let, so like when the diaper story came out, I think your video with Sven, I think 100 people sent it to me. And I was like, and here's what's funny is just like, dude, I mean, like, I don't wish that on anybody. Like, he's a terrible dude and like a horrible waste of talent, but like, I don't enjoy somebody shitting themselves. Like, I feel like if you root for that, you're asking for that later in life. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a guy who ever really tries to root for people.
Well, we're all going to end up in diapers at some point, so why not make fun of it? I root for it.
Yeah.
I want him in diapers. I want to think that he was in diapers shitting himself. But, and Jules had to wipe his ass.
Women have to wear diapers a week out of the month anyway, so it's like,
that's true.
It's not that big.
This is the thing. People say Sven isn't to be trusted, and it's like Sven was one of his closest friends. After that, he said it was slight hyperbole at best, but then a follow-up discussion happened with him and Jesse from Pod Awful and private one, and it was confirmed that the diapers are real. At one point, at least.
Private conversation.
I guess not anymore. He blasted it out on a previous show, but yeah, it is true. But what is so I'm trying to think of that dynamic, right? What show was that? Was that your show or Patrick's show that happened on?
No, it was when I was on. Yeah, that was when I was on NLO. I was like a regular co-host on that show for a couple years.
And like, were you all friends? You, Mike, and Patrick? Initially,
at one point I thought we were. I only knew Mike through Patrick because they were the two original podcast guys, right? So like, when my introduction to Mike was that Patrick was like, "There's this guy in Chicago who does the same show as me," and I go, "Oh, okay." And then at one point he was like, "Oh, he runs a comedy club," and we were going to Minnesota to do my old home club. And then he was like, "We'll do that, and then we'll do Mike's Red Bar Comedy Club the following weekend." So I didn't know Mike at all until we did Red Bar Comedy Club that weekend. And then I met Mike and his business partners, and I met Junior Stopka, who was like was on that clip that you told me to watch. And then
how tall is Mike in person?
Short, very short. But it's like it's kind of hard to it's hard to reference because I was standing next to Melton, who's very big. He's like 6'5" or something. And so I feel small next to him. But then Mike was, I don't know, probably like 5'7" or 5'8", somewhere in there. Maybe shorter, maybe
5'7". No. 5'7". Okay. Damn. So I'm taller than Mike. Yes. Let's go. Mike short.
Tiny. But he was Mike. Like, you could kind of tell right away that like his vibe with everybody was just like ball busting, not to like anyone or whatever. And I was like, okay, well, I guess that's a choice, a character choice. But I thought he was funny, and I had no problem with him. But I do know that like all the business stuff that Fritz and Mike Stanley and who else?
So those are the guys I learned about listening to that podcast. It was James Fritz podcast.
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah, and it was like so when I was talking to you about that clip, I was like, everything they say in that clip is true. And when he says, I talked to another comedian who is a podcaster, and he said he and Mike joked all weekend about ripping their fans off, that was Melton. That conversation was had with the three of us, and I wasn't involved in any of the business of podcasting back then. They were just having a blast talking about taking t-shirt order money from people and not shipping stuff and just like shitting on their fans. And I remember walking away from that conversation with Patrick like, "Yo, dude, you're not ripping off your own fucking fans, are you?" And he was like, No, I don't do that. And I was like, okay, because it sounded like you guys were just saying how cool that was. And then, I hear this stuff about Fritz's album, and then, and then I find out from the other two people that he was in business with that like all of this other shit that was going on. And I remember just that weekend when we were doing the club that we were supposed to go to Mike to get paid. And then Mike was like, yeah, we'll send you a check. And I told Patrick, I was like, we're not leaving the city without getting paid. I don't trust this at all. And so we went to his business partner and met him at the club, and he literally like paid us out of the cash register. And we were like, yo, what the fuck is going on with like, we'll cut you a check. And at that moment he goes, listen, man, there's a lot of business shit going on. I don't want to get into it right now, but in a few weeks, like all the just shit's going to hit the fan and you'll have a better idea of what's going on. So like, as all this stuff was coming out, and people would have to go back and listen to the episodes, but I think there was a moment where like Melton and I were speculating on what happened and ribbing Mike a little bit about what was going on and making fun of his comeback episode where he was like, they stole my comedy club. Like we were like, okay, well, we know the full story and this is all bullshit. And so, and then at the same time, at one point around there, I had like my album was coming out and I sent it to Mike. It was like, would love to know what you think. Because I respected his opinion as a comedy guy. Like when he was talking about comics that were good and comics that sucked, I was like, okay, he's got pretty good taste in comedy, and just want his opinion. And then he like shit all over it on his show. I was like, okay, well that's fine. You can shit on me on your show, but what he was mad about was at one point I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to do like a crowdsource thing to make like a package version of this, like CDs and vinyl or whatever. And he was mad that the blurb had numbers in it that he didn't agree with, right? So it was like, over the course of my career, I've had like 1 million content plays. And he goes, you lie. He's like, you take it up to the line. I go, it's not a lie. But I was like, I've been doing comedy for fucking, at that time, it was like 6 or 7 years. I was like, it's not a brag to have your album streamed 1 million times over 7 years on a bunch of different platforms. Like, and at that time I was definitely like, I was trying to find a way to like market myself to have a career, right? And that goes back to the same thing about like Melton and him making up the lie about buying followers for Twitter and all this shit. And it was just like, well, in my mind, they were basically like, trying is gay. If you're trying to take a next step as a comedian, that's gay. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna keep trying. And you guys can keep calling me gay, but I don't have my parents giving me a condo to live in, and my grandmother didn't leave me inheritance money when she died, like Melton. So some of us have to have jobs and figure out how to crowdsource things or whatever, and that's what it takes. And so I just think it's funny
because not funny, but while we were listening to that, it was like both of Melton's parents passed away in a short span of time. And so he had been left in it, and an inheritance from them, I'm assuming, as well. And then there was this whole argument of whether Mike, how he got his start. And I remember talking to you, and you said that maybe they bought him the condo, and then they said, hey, you're on your own from here on out. But that's a huge leg up. That's a huge leg up. Of course.
My rent is $2,100 a month. If I didn't have to pay that, I wouldn't have to do any job, right? Like I would be able to pay it just with comedy and other bullshit money I make. So
I just want to give a disclaimer because people are going to go, what are you guys talking about? So there is a podcast I did cover on a previous episode. It was James Fritz, You Could Be Dead, the Devil something Scooter. I forget the full name of it. But this is an old podcast. You can go on Reddit and type in like James Fritz Redbar Reddit. It'll pop up. It's an old podcast of all of the comedians that used to work at Redbar's Kyle Lane's comedy club with Mike David, the Redbar Comedy Club. They changed the name of it to Redbar Radio to help market it, to make him the marketing guy, correct? And then he used the podcast to push it. That's what I was told. So
the inner workings of their arrangement, I don't know at all. I do know that Kyle and now his wife have kept clubs and kept running comedy clubs and doing so pretty successfully. And I've talked with them for other business and stuff recently. And even as recent as like a month ago, I had a long conversation with them. I was like, hey, am I wrong about any of this? And they were like, no, you have it pretty right for the most part. But, it's exactly what Fritz said on that podcast is like, everybody couldn't wait to have nothing to do with this dude, right? And so my understanding and just looking at it, when people go like, because inevitably I meet new people all the time. They Google me and then they'll Red Bar stuff will come. They go, man, this guy fucking hates you. Why? Like, why would somebody hate you this much? And I go, well, you know, I feel like the whole thing is he tried to be a comic, then he tried to be a tastemaker in comedy and got shut out of both of those things. And then like a mature adult was like, I will now be comedy's #1 enemy, and decided that he was going to wage war on all of stand-up comedy, you know, from his podcasting station. And, you know, I mean, it's a choice, but I mean, dude, I just, what I love about comedy so much, forget about trying to make it and trying to have money or any of those things. Like, I've figured out how to make money and stopped caring about making it, because what does that even mean anymore? But for me, it's like the memories and the friendships. So I can't imagine, like, and when I walked away from NLO in 2014 and I officially told Patrick, like, I don't want to be on your show at all anymore. I was like, I don't want to be one of these shows that just talks about other comedians, because I'm trying to be a comedian. You're supposed to be trying to be a comedian. It just looks faggy and jealous. And so I don't want any part of it. I'm just going to go keep trying. And they're like, yeah, keep trying, fag. And then they both got really mad when I got a TV show like 18 months later.
Yeah. That's the thing. I've never even like followed this thing of like, let's go after comedians. And I mean, it kind of the picture paints itself that maybe Mike wanted to be a comedian at some point.
Great. Yeah, it's all it is.
And then he kind of he fucked over all these people. It seems like a pattern of him over and over getting opportunities and then fucking them up because he pisses the people off around him. But now he has his perfect ending, which is just him and Jules in a studio. And now Sven is gone, his last friend gone, and it's just them. And I think that's the way he likes it. Or
the most high budget, expensive casket in all of podcasting. Yeah, I mean, you know,
it's like watching post-apocalyptic Dave Letterman, just like living out his dreams.
And when I say this, people say it's a cope, but like, I actually thought that Mike was funny. Like, he used to do original content. He had like this character, gay gangster, that I thought was fucking hilarious. And same with Melton. Like, I thought Melton was very funny, but like with Melton, it was clear that he just stopped writing and stopped wanting to work at stand-up. And then I don't know, I think, you know, the thing with Mike, with the club and everybody kind of turning on him, like, was the turning point where he just stopped making original content and was like, I'm now just going to be on the warpath with the entire world of comedy. And, you know, I think it's sad because like, I like watching good shit. And it's like, I hate seeing somebody who has talent and vision and is funny just choose not to do it and take this other route that's like, you know, you can make money at it, but like, you know, who at the end of the day, like, who grows up wanting to be Mike David? Like, is that a career path that people like, and everyone goes, oh, he makes 10 times more money than you. Yeah, so do like gay guys on OnlyFans. They're the same thing to me. They're two things that I have no interest in doing that could make a lot of money.
If I could have the studio, then sell it and take the money back from it and then have family and kids and all that stuff and all the good stuff and friends. Yeah. But the rest, you can keep the rest of it.
Like, there's a million ways to make money. Just like and that's one of the things that like getting canceled or whatever really made me have to evaluate was like, how do you want to do this? Like, do you want to figure out how to make money doing this your way? Or do you just want to take the easy route and the easy path of money and get to have no opinions and get to have, you know, just basically not be yourself in anything that you do? And by the way I picked is going to be way harder, and you're going to have to do things like Uber drive or deliver food, which I would never do. I'll eat the profits. But yeah, man. So like, I am not somebody who's afraid to roll my sleeves up and work. And fortunately for the last, you know, year now, I haven't had to do side jobs because I've, you know, rolled my sleeves up and found ways to diversify my company and do other shit and make money through comedy in other ways. So, you know, it's like, it's it's all part of it. Like, it's all part of figuring out your way in life. But I would rather, from a money standpoint, I'd always rather be comfortable and happy than rich and fucking miserable.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I was just always curious of what the actual point was where like you guys splits, but it doesn't matter at this point. What do you think about this this whole Dabbleverse thing and like Hackamania that's coming up? I guess it's happening now, and then Patrick covering this whole steel toe thing. Have you followed any of this?
It's
Nick
been impossible not
Rekieta.
to. I was excited to be on the only podcast not talking about Nick Rekieta tonight, but of course I follow it because
I didn't even follow it. I couldn't.
I only know Nick. I only know of Nick. Well, I only knew of Nick in the beginning through Dick. So like my friendship with Dick Masterson, I do love the conspiracy theories of like Denny paid them to do his show. It's like, if I was going to pay, I could just pay an audience company out here to fill my room if that was my grand scheme, right? They're like, he must have promised them things to be. We're just actually friends. Like, Dick invited me on his podcast like 2 years ago, and I went and did it and had fun, and he had fun, and then we lived by each other. So we just started hanging out. And then I met Vito through Dick, and we get along, and we have things in common that Dick and I don't have in common, and vice versa. And so, yeah, we all became friends. And some of my favorite podcast episodes I've done have been the shows I've done with them over the last year. 2 episodes of The Biggest Problem in the Universe. And then we've done live shows together. We did one in Long Beach like a couple years ago that one of their fans provided the venue for and stuff, which was cool. And yeah, so when it came time to shoot the special, I was like, yeah, I want my friends. So I could have put other bigger comedians from LA on the lineup with me to try to drive my numbers up, but we knew that there was going to be fuckery, and we also knew that it's LA and people are going to flake. So what was crazy to me was like when we did the show, the special taping, we took 200 reservations, and we knew we were only going to be able to seat about 100 plus because of the equipment and the space we needed to be able to set up and film. So we were like, all right, well, if by chance all 200 people show up, then I guess we'll figure out how to do 2 shows or whatever. And fortunately, I was right. It's LA, and all my friends flaked, and our fans actually showed up, and then we were still able to do a show.
Were you involved in Dick Masterson and Vito being involved in Hackamania at all? Did you have anything to do with that?
No, actually, that's all them. I do think I'm part of the reason, because I think okay. Patrick reached out to them after they were involved in my special, and I'm sure, but I think it's more Carl, like from Who Are These Podcasts? They're good buddies with Carl. Carl's doing Hackamania, so I think it kind of, I think there was a lot of connections there that it could have been, but I do love the idea. I do love the fact that I know Melton watches every fucking breath I take, and then is like, who are these Dick Masterson and Vito guys? Like, I don't know who they are at all, but I'm going to invite them to my comedy festival. It's like, bro, who are you kidding? Like, we know what you're doing, right? But I'm not one of those people who's like, it's them or me. Like, it's so gay. So yeah, they're going to go do Hackamania, and I think they're doing a live version of their show during the festival or whatever. That's cool. And and they're my friends. I want them to grow their audience. I don't know that that's the place to do it, but great.
So the reason I bring it up is not to, not like, hey, let's get into the weeds about this Rekieta stuff, but I did want to bring up something, and if you're comfortable bringing it up, that there's people been saying, hey, Patrick, it's kind of hypocritical for you to be, covering a guy for doing cocaine when you got caught with cocaine in your past. Is there any truth to this story of him?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can find it.
Do you mind telling this story?
No, he's definitely spent a lot of money trying to scrub that. But that's one of the, again, this is one of the gross things that I fucking can't stand about that world and about Patrick himself, is that it's almost as if he acts as if being a hypocrite is not a problem for the tenacity in which you tear people down. Like, it's kind of fucking insane.
When you're covering toe.
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, like, it's impossible for me not to somewhat enjoy what's going on with Aaron's world, because I don't know. how much you follow that world or whatever, but I knew about Aaron because Corey Adam is one of my best friends in comedy, and Corey was on Steel Toe. And like 2 years ago, Aaron reached out to me and wanted me to come on and do a day on Steel Toe. And he was like, yeah, it would have been like 4 a.m. my time to like 8 or 9 in the morning my time. And he was like, it's $100. And I was like, get the fuck out of here, dude. I'm not getting up at 4 a.m. to do a podcast for 5 fucking hours. Like, who do you think you're talking to? So I was like, not interested. I wasn't a dick about it, but I was like, not interested. Thanks for thinking of me. And then like 3-4 months later, my name comes up on Steel Toe, and he starts regurgitating Redbar shit. Denny's an Uber driver. He's not a real comic. He's not this. He's not. I was like, okay, dude, but you got your wife sitting next to you on your podcast, your shiny new wife that you just married. And if you decide you're going to be one of these shows that starts attacking other shows, you're going to get crushed. And Corey and I talked about that on a live stream. Aaron got all pissy about it. And that led to Corey leaving a Steel Toe. And then here we are 18 months later or whatever. And exactly what I told him would happen. So I would be lying if I was like, hey, dude, did we not try to tell you that being a guy who covers other guys is not going to work if you're a guy who has more shit to be covered? Right. And here we are. So like, it's kind of weird how all this shit sort of webs together. And yeah, it is super gay, but everybody involved in this shit is a hypocrite. Like the thing I hate is like like people that I know do cocaine, like morally grandstanding of like, well, you don't do it if you have kids, or, don't do it in the house, or all this bullshit of like, oh, he deserves what he gets or whatever, or people doing the right thing. Like, be honest. You're just happy to see your competition get taken out. Rakeda pulls a lot of views, and these other fucking scabs think like, well, if he's gone, more views for me. That's literally what it boils down to. And it's like they have no concern about ruining people's lives or celebrating people ruining their own lives if it means 5 more viewers.
That is funny you say that, because one of my opinions on the show was, when I see a guy who everybody is piling on, my first instinct isn't to go, holy shit, let's jump in on this. The guy's having the worst moment of his life. He's lost his wife. He's got kids and his whole family's destroyed. Yeah, let's pile on. And I know there's people who love that kind of shit. They want to see the train crash and the explosion, and they want to see the body parts flying. And it's like, I get it, but when I see everybody doing it, then I go, kind of like contrarian you were mentioning before. I'm like, I don't want to be that guy who goes. So I've spoke to Aaron a couple of times over the course of the last year. He's been always nice to me, and I've never covered him in that light of like, let's do some toe coverage. But I just thought it was funny that he, in his past, he was caught with cocaine, and then he claimed that it was his friends and he was holding it for him and keeping it safe.
About Melton?
Yeah, Melton.
Oh yeah, no, it was, listen, I gave him shit about this when it happened, but he was trying to be a fucking cool guy, right? And he was like bringing, I don't know how he got it, or if somebody left it at his house, but he was taking it to a very famous comedian now. At the Comedy Store, and then like literally was driving like an asshole, got pulled over, was talking shit to the cop, like, yeah, dude, I'm a drug kingpin, you got me. And then they arrested him. And then it was like, I remember sitting in, we did like a fucking 10-hour marathon show where he raised like 50 grand and was like, I need this for legal problems or my life is going to be over. He didn't really elaborate, but the fans found out what it was. And then, paid a high-powered lawyer a lot of money to make it go away. And then has the audacity, like on his, covered this on my show when I was like, here's my final statement on Melton. Obviously not, because here we are. But like, to be like, his lows are lower than my lowest lows, he said about me. And I'm like, are you fucking retarded? Like,
that's pretty low. Pretty equal.
Yeah, I was like, I've never had to borrow $50,000. Like, we crowdsourced, I think, like when we hit hard times in 2019, we crowdsourced like 10 grand to just get over the hump. And I think we only ended up making like 7 or something. And I borrowed some money from some friends that ended up getting paid back. But like, we got through it. And but we didn't beg our fans for 50 grand because we were trying to look like the coolest guy in like Mr. fucking Hollywood coke dealer, and ended up jamming yourself up over something stupid. Like, me taking a job in 2019 and then getting fired on the second day because a girl who didn't work in my department complained to HR about shit I did as a comedian. Like, you can have your opinion about whether or not you think that's okay. Whether or not you think it's okay, I had no reason to expect it or plan for it. So it completely caught us off guard. We jumbled money around so that I could do this job and take this job, and just kind of punted some bills around. And we're like, okay, once the first check comes in from the job, we'll be all caught up. And then you get fired on day 2. We're like, fuck. So that's why we did a crowdsourcing thing. But it's like, it's humiliating to have to do that. And then to act like that's lower than being like, I'm going to bring coke to comedians at the Comedy Store, and then just go to your fans and take 50 grand of their money that they get. And I think there was a promise of like, I'm going to make this and then you'll get this, or I'm going to make this and you'll get this. And it was the same thing he did with his fundraising for Edinburgh, like doing the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. So it's like, dude, it's always the guys who call you a scammer and a schemer who have tons of scams and schemes, right? It's like the old saying of be wary of pointing a finger because you have 3 pointing back at you. I mean, that's the reality with those dudes. So, and that's the thing that is annoying to me, is that Patrick has this sort of holier than thou mentality. And it's, the problem with him is the same problem with Mike, is these guys are born.
Wait. I want to be clear though. He crowdsourced $50,000 telling the people that it was for a legal defense because he got with coke that wasn't his, and they were like, "Sure, man, let's give you the money."
I don't think he said what it was in the very beginning. I think the fans found out what it was.
And they're like, "Hey, let's get this guy out of here. Let's get him out of the slammer."
Yeah, no, he was, by the way, when he was in jail, he called me to bail him out. He was like, it's $10,000 to bail me out. And I go, what did you get arrested for? And he's like, cocaine possession. And I was like, bro, you called your sober friend who doesn't even drink, who you call a faggot for all the time, to give you $10,000 to bail you out? And he's like, I'm good for it. And I go, I don't have it. I don't have it. And if I did, I wouldn't give it to you. Are you retarded? And so he was pissy with me about that. And then when we did the crowdsourcing thing, he was, dude, he literally stood in this kitchen back when it was his apartment and was like crying on my shoulder that his life was over because of this arrest. And I was like,
how many years ago was this? How long ago?
This is over 10 years ago. Because I moved into this apartment in 2012. So this would have been 2011, somewhere in there.
Okay. That's a long time. How old is Patrick?
2 or 3 years older than me, so 43 or 44.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, he was a little kid then. That's still
we were old. Yeah, when I met him in 2010, I was like 27. So we've all known each other for a really long time. But that's what's insane to me is like, these guys who will let these sort of like mistruths, or they'll let these fibs or lies grow into reality and the truth and propagate this bullshit, and then act like they too don't have skeletons in their closet.
Yeah, that's the impression that it gives, like, whether it's Redbar or Patrick, whatever. When people are doing that, where they're covering someone, you think they're coming from a righteous place of like, oh yeah, this is our moral compass and we're judging you. And then it's like, but wait, then you find out they've had a history of like crimes and crimes and crimes. Mike's history is just lots of crime and scamming, and then he calls everyone else out. I was surprised Mike never made Redbar coin at this point, hearing all the shit that he's done.
Yeah, I just think it's too much. The funny thing is with both of those guys is the projects get to a point where they're too ambitious and there's too much heavy lifting where they won't do it. And
but it's also like Redbar will go, Teddy Fresh, Ethan Klein steals designs, and then you like go back through all of his history of merch drops, and it's like stolen design. Yeah. Mancow logo stolen as his first logo. It's like
Virgil Abloh shit from back in the day.
Is it all just projecting? Is that all what this shit is? Just projecting everything you do onto other people?
It seems super reductive to just chalk it up to that. But listen, man, humans aren't that complex. It is as simple as that. Like,
yeah, they fuck up.
It's just, if I never stop talking about other people, nobody will dig into me.
Okay, here's some messages here. I've been ignoring them. Boudreaux, is this French? Boudreaux. Hello, lossless. First time, long time. Can you please explain to Josh what a drifter is and get his opinion? Josh, I'm supposed to explain to you what it is?
Sure.
A person who drifts and grifts? What, like they're trying to do the political thing, like you're grifting a political thing? Are they trying to get you on that, or?
Oh, I don't know. I've been accused of being a grifter, but who hasn't at this point? I mean, that's the thing. People think that my shift to being more vocally conservative is some kind of grift, but I'm obviously really bad at it because I'll argue with the right on things too. Like if I were really grifting, I would just be all in on Trump shit all the time. And, there's shit that people in my own like supposed party or that are even my friends, like we have staunch disagreements on. So like people on the right hate sex work. I don't give a shit. I think it's people's freedom. I don't care. If women want to do OnlyFans, I don't give a fuck. People go, oh, porn is ruining America. Then don't consume it. Like you wanting them to turn the porno faucet off would be like me being fat and going, somebody needs to shut down these McDonald's's. Hey, fatso, just don't go. Right? So it's the same thing with like sex work. I don't give a shit.
But also politics has gotten into such a weird place where you think about, I don't know, I think about like a decade or so ago where someone who may have been considered, like we talked about cancellation when we started this, right? It would have been liberals that were trying to be expressing sexuality and the cursing. I mean, Howard Stern, a known liberal, he went to SiriusXM to escape the conservative party and the religious right. That was considered the people who would censor you, right? And now we're kind of like spun it on its head, where being the conservative party are the people who are like, we're being censored. We need platforms to go speak the truth. So everything is on its head.
But they're still full of shit too. Like conservatives who say that are
extremes.
Full of shit too. Like they'll pull Ricado off of Rumble because he's conduct unbecoming of a creator or whatever kind of nonsense corporate speak they do. But it will be to capitulate to their religious right fan base, right? So this whole thing, like what they did to Milo. Do you remember when Milo got thrown off of everything?
Yeah,
it was
like for the comments about the kids.
Yeah, it was like quite well. You don't have to like it, but this is a very common gay rite of passage. He was literally just the messenger of like, hey, I know you don't like to know how faggots happen, but here's our origin story. And everyone's like, oh no, don't talk about that, and don't blame the church. And I
think the comment, he said SA happens, but he said he liked it. I think that was where he pushed it over the edge, where he was like,
and he was said many of us. He said many of us like it and chase it as young men. Yeah.
Okay.
Which, by the way, if that's his thing, you don't have to like it or agree with it, but he's trying to be honest.
I'm only reading ones that people pay for. Okay, Josh. Peter Sky Parker, $2. Are you still living in Melton's old apartment?
Yes, I am. Who cares? Yes, I am. He lived here. By the way, he lived here for a year, and I've lived here for 12. So I don't know that we can call it Melton's old apartment anymore, but sure, yeah. And by the way, he never tells this story, but when I moved into this building, there were like 3 apartments available, and the other 2 were like really in bad. Well, one was a 3-bedroom, and Melton was like, rent this one so we can just put the podcast studio in your apartment. And I was like, no. And then the other one that was downstairs was in like really poor repair, had like really shitty appliances and everything in this one was new. So I was like, yeah, I'll just take this one.
It is kind of funny how all these podcasts start out of like apartments where there's like a landlord. It's technically kind of illegal to even be running a business out of your apartment.
Yeah.
But everyone gets away with it. And I always imagine, what do the neighbors think? I think it was that you mentioned Fresh and Fit podcast. And I was like, holy shit. They found out that guy actually lives in that apartment. Like there's a studio in the living room, and then he goes and sleeps in the bed, and that's why all these girls, that was all controversy with all the women. He was I won't get into it.
Doesn't Brian from whatever live in the place that they filmed that podcast?
Yeah.
So that's gotta look weird. You got like 8 girls coming in 2 times a week.
Yeah, which is just, that's where it's craziest. It's like, it's illegal in general, but then imagine you're in a Miami apartment, you were having all these women coming in drunk. Some of them were underage. They were giving alcohol to underage women, and then they're coming in there and they're screaming their heads off. There's fights happening, and It's like, how did they not get kicked out of there? This is crazy. If
That's-
I was a landlord, I'd get the fuck out.
Yeah, it was definitely weird, you know, because when the podcast was here, you know, we had like Bill Burr on.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, I think who else? Oh no, Norton wasn't here. Norton was in the Sherman Oaks apartment. But yeah, and then that was where the famous Chris Porter and Eliza Schlesinger thing happened. Was it also in the Sherman Oaks place? But yeah, the show was Patrick was only here for like a year, or maybe even less than that. But the thing was I was paying for a really expensive place at the time. It was expensive. It's less than I pay now, but I was paying like $18.50 a month for a 1-bedroom place in Long Beach, and driving into the city all the time, which I was spending tons of money on gas at that point. And he was like, listen, my girlfriend and I want to move into a house, you know, and we're going to have to break our lease. You know, maybe you can come take my lease over. And the landlord was so cool. He was like, you can move into any one of these units and we won't penalize Patrick for his early lease break because, you know, he's basically referring somebody to move into the building. And it was just coincidence that I ended up taking this unit because this was the least fucked up unit at the time. And now I wish I would have taken the lower level unit because they put hardwood floors in all of those. And I was like, oh, fuck, I would have rather have hardwood
You gotta
floors.
have hardwood floors.
I messed up. Yeah, but it's like, you know, he's, you know, Melton loves to go on his show and he goes, he lives in my old apartment. It's like, bro, calm down. There's been all kinds of, a lot of work has been done here since you lived here, you fucking
Wait, other people can rent the apartment you used to live in? Wow, that's mind blowing. It is funny, the little things though. Ooh, hardwood flooring.
Oh,
Fancy.
sorry.
I
said I also
Are you able to
moved in
see
and
me on
allowed you to
camera,
break
by the way, Josh? Is my camera still working, or have you been just
you're
here?
still
Oh, you still see it? I want to ask this question. Someone said to bring this up. Ask him for details on the Edinburgh Fringe Fest related to Melton.
Yeah, all I know is there was supposed to be an album and a special, and none of those things ever happened. And that was another situation of like listen, these guys make fun of me for having tried to crowdsource things and not getting all the way there money wise. But I've never taken a ton of money and then never made the thing. As a matter of fact, the special that I crowdsourced that I wanted to do in 15, all that money went into this special, and all those people are still being listed as producers and crowdfunders in this special that's coming out this summer. So, you know, it took me longer than I would have liked to, and I was pretty humble, hat in hand with those guys about it. But what was cool was one of the guys who contributed the most amount of money to it was actually at the taping in April, and I was able to give him a shout out and, you know, hang out and have a fun night with him. And, you know, so yeah, it's like, you know, I've taken L's, but I've never intentionally fucking swindled people and been like, I know you paid me for this thing, but tough shit, you know?
That's what they're getting me to ask questions about things of like, did you own up to your end of the deal, I guess? Peter Sky, I don't know this context, just letting you know. Peter Sky Parker, $2. How many exterior windows in that apartment, Josh?
2, 3. I mean, every room has an exterior window.
Paid
That's
$2 for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a window in every room. Like, I don't know what people like. It's so weird. Also, too, I think it's funny is like these guys are like, I've owned a home since I was 22. You rent, you fucking loser. It's like, dude, you bought a house when they were $32,000. My rent is $2,100.
Yeah, what state do you live in first?
What are we talking about, bro?
Okay.
I have to.
Living costs are expensive as fuck. Are you kidding me? We're in a nightmare.
I did the math on this recently, like, you know, looking at booking comedy tours and stuff. I'd have to get to a point where I were generating about $350 a year gross to be able to afford to buy the house that I would buy out here. Like, I have to be making about $300,000 to $350,000 a year, which isn't crazy because that's basically doubling what I make now just to make ends meet and to run my business. So it's like, you know, if you look at it and you go, okay, if the special does well, then I can bump it up over 2 and I can start touring on my own and booking tours for other people as I've been doing, you know, then it's not as far away. But it's like, but that is astronomical money to just like have some of the things that everybody has, and they make like, I make 80 grand a year and I have 2 properties. It's like, that's great, dude. I also would love to live in Missouri.
Yeah, I know. I have a friend who lives in he lives in Texas, and it's like, holy shit, for the money that he spent for a full-fledged house with a garage and a backyard and a lawn. It's like, holy shit. I think it was like $300,000 for that house.
Oh, it's insane.
It's like here, if you bought that here, you'd be spending millions on it.
Where my family lives in Delaware, they have like 2 acres of land. I could buy their house for like $125,000.
Yeah.
Like I could in 18 months I could pay cash for it.
You know what I mean? Do you want to live there is the question.
Yeah, who wants to live in Delaware?
Tucson, you know?
Yeah, Tucson's actually not bad. I think Tucson's cool. You know, it's shitty.
Is that part
it's
cool?
It's sort of shit. It's like shitty in a cool way.
Shitty in a cool way. Okay. Yeah, there's a vibe to that.
I mean, it's Mike's vibe. Shitty in a cool way, I guess, right?
Yeah, with his
or at least
Jeep.
attempting to be. Like, it's a place where you can wear diapers and Big Lebowski sweaters and fit right in.
So there's 2 other things I want to bring up here. Which one's funnier first? This is the funny thing. So you did an interview with a guy who, what did you say? He claimed his name was Phil or something. The guy you did the interview with?
Yeah, that dude. Yeah, and I knew that guy was totally a plant, but I was like, I don't give a shit.
So guys, if you were watching last week and the other episodes, this has been a story arc. This guy's been stalking me as well. His name's Leo Dominique. Have you ever seen his other content of what he actually does? He does Joker videos.
The dude who came at me for this live stream, like, came at me on X and was like, I'm a student at a college, which, by the way, always red flag. But he's like, I'm a student at a college covering like people canceled on the internet and everything else. And then it was pretty clear, as all the questions were very Redbar centric. I was like, dude, you're clearly a Redbar fan. Like, obviously, I know what you're doing, and I know where this interview is going to end up, and I know you're not tricking anybody, but let's do it. And I was like, let's make you sit through this for 2 hours and, you know, pretend. Like, sometimes it's fun for me to see how long people can pretend.
Wait, let me see if I can bring this up for you. So you're seeing this?
No, I don't see anything on your screen, just you.
Oh, I did a screen share. You don't see the screen share?
Nope.
Hold on. Damn it. I want to show it to you. Just so you could feel better about, You don't see that? This guy in the clown makeup?
Nope.
Damn
not
it.
in Discord. I'm not on YouTube.
Okay, well, let's see if you can hear it and they can hear it.
Either his right shoulder or his left testicle. We have Norm's balls. Hi, Norm. How are you up there in heaven, Mr. Good Guy? Should I snort some of these and see what happens?
So there you go. The audience see it. I don't know if you were able to see it. This guy, Leo Dominique, he is probably Redbar's biggest fan. He is pretty psychotic. He has been stalking me. He actually took the time to go out into someone's property. It's not his. And he made a makeshift grave. I can see it on the
YouTube. I can see it on the YouTube stream.
Okay, so it was just on a delay. Let me see if I can pull up.
No, I wasn't looking at the YouTube stream. I was literally just in Discord. But
so he has he made these videos where he's like in someone's lawn, their front yard, and he makes a makeshift grave that says lossless on it, and he goes, "This is where I keep my pets." And he's like walking around and he thinks he's like Ray Liotta. Yeah, he does the whole Joker act, Heath Ledger. So that's the guy that you're being trolled by. Just wanted to let you know.
And by the way, that recording, I think that was like 2 years ago. It was a while ago.
And he edited out. He took parts out of it. You can tell it cuts in and out, you know?
Yeah, I can't find. I think he blocked me on Twitter, so I can't find any of the messages that we had back and forth. But
also, interview with Josh Denny, and it's not even a picture of you. Isn't that? Who is that? If you can't see it on the YouTube feed, you can see on a delay, but that's that guy, fuck, what's his name? What's this dude's name?
I'm waiting for it to come up on the YouTube stream.
Chat, do you know?
No, that's me, but it's somebody else. It's like, yeah, it's photoshopped into something. But that's like my face in the middle.
That's I could have swore.
Oh, that's
someone
Brian
else's.
Posehn.
Yeah,
that
picture. Yeah. So,
which is an unfortunate and somewhat accurate comparison.
He's like, this is Josh Denny. I interviewed him. That's kind of funny.
People have said that before. No, it's not. He's not entirely wrong. That's the first fat trolling that's worked on me, or fat shaming, where I'm like, Brian Posehn. All right, now I got to do something.
He did another one recently. I don't think he posted on his YouTube channel. I think he gave it to Mike. He interviewed somebody else undercover, but it's just like, that's the guy you were dealing with. Essentially a weird guy who lives out of his car. He has no apartment. All of his belongings are in the back seat. So you just get to see videos of him stalking me as well. And I'm nobody, and he's putting the time into me.
Yeah, it's a very strange level of obsession. But what's interesting is like when these guys come out, it happened. I think I talked about this on the show, on our podcast, on the Big Uglies. But Nick, who runs the End, the comic who runs the End, he saw like a name on the lineup or on the ticket list for my special, and he was like, "Oh, it's a dude I went to high school with. I hadn't heard from or seen in 10 years." So I called him. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm a Redbar fan. I'm coming out to see Denny bomb." And he's like, "Well, I don't know if you're like, I wouldn't hold my breath on that, dude. We have a lot of reservations, and I don't know if it's going to go the way you think it's going to go." And I told Nick, he goes, "Do you want me to tell him he can't come?" I go, "No, let him come." Because what's going to happen is he's going to do what all these guys do. He's going to show up, realize that he's been bamboozled and that there are people there, and then he's going to feel outnumbered and stupid. He's going to do a lap, and then he's going to leave. And that's exactly what happened. He came like an hour before the show, snapped a picture where there were like 30 people in the audience. And then, that's the one he sent to Mike. And Mike's like, "Look, there's only 30 people here," which immediately you can watch the video clips from that night and be like, "That's not it." But it's so funny to me that, that
didn't go well. There was a guy who attempted to do it to Sam Hyde. I don't know if you were there or involved, where a guy tried to do it to Sam Hyde at a stand up, and he went, "Redbar's watching."
No, I heard about it. Yeah, they all go that way. They all go that way. Like, I had a guy come up.
Mike never mentioned it.
No, sorry, they don't. And I had a guy come up to us in Florida. It was when we were doing the meet and greet in Orlando, me, Kumia, and Gavin, and was like talking about Redbar, and we're just like, "Okay, like, what do you want?" And he's just like, "Well, I mean, this has to be egg on Mike's face because you guys sold like almost 400 tickets to this thing, and this was a great show and a big win, and everybody did well." We're like, "Yeah, and he's just like, "Well, it's like, we don't need you to tell us that we're doing fine, despite Mike's best wishes. Like, what is the fucking point of this conversation?" And then he just scurried away like a creep. So it's just like, you get these all the time where these dudes come out to these shows and they're, they think they're going to get you. And they're so uncomfortable in their own skin that there's nothing intimidating about them whatsoever. And so it's like, the Redbar stuff would get to me if these dudes came out and I would be like, "Oh man, they seem cool. Like, I wish they liked me more." But every fucking one of them that I've met in real life is like, "Dude, if you're here, you're going to scare everybody else away. You're such a fucking creep. So if you don't like me, thank God, and please don't ever come to my shit."
Speaking of bamboozling, I want to bring this up. So I realize why you're not going to hear it probably, but I realized I wasn't showing the correct source. So the guitar video, and Mike did this whole contest where he had a bunch of people do covers of this, and I don't know the context. So what is the context of this video?
Okay, so the whole thing started with like, as a hobby, I started making guitars, and I put on Twitter, I was like, "I'm going to make them, and if people want to buy them, that's cool." But I like, particularly this one, I had no intention of selling. But what was funny is as soon as I announced it, somebody sent me a clip. It was like 3 days later on Mike's show. He was like, I must have it. And I was like, okay, well, if you're going to do this, then I can't wait to see what happens. And so originally they're like, he's never going to make it. He doesn't have the money. It's like, no, I did. And I made it in like, I don't know, like 3-4 weeks or whatever. And then I was like, here it is. It's done. And literally the second I finished bolting it together, I was giddy. I couldn't wait to get it up. I didn't do anything to, I didn't like intonate it. I didn't polish it. I didn't do it. I was just like, here it is. It's ready to go. Tell Mike he can have it. And I priced it in a way where I was like, of course, like if he buys it for this, good for him. He's committed to the bit. But I knew he wasn't. I knew he was full of shit. And I knew he wouldn't fucking do it. And he didn't. And he had people coming at me in a million different ways, sideways of like trying to pretend like spies, like, hey, could you show us how it sounds? Could you give us a little video? I was like, I'm just going to send them. I'm going to post the shittiest pictures. I'm going to put the dumbest fucking videos up and watch them scurry back to Mike like the little fucking rats that they are. And the whole thing is just so dumb. Like Carl and I have been laughing about this for 2 fucking months now because they're like, what are you going to do? Get it and break it? Oh no, I can't go get other parts and make another guitar. I have like 7 guitars in my house. So I thought it was,
this is the video here, JD33 Telecaster.
Yeah, it's just me fucking around. Somebody, and this video went to somebody who was like, could you send me some audio of it sounding good?
Okay, so we're hearing it. Let me hear. You might not be able to, but I want to hear it.
It's not in tune. It's not set up. It's not. It's been in the case since I finished it because I got to find a place to put it, and I also have to take it in to get it set up because I mean I could do my own nut filing, but the guy that works on my guitars is so much better at that shit that I'm just like, I'll let you do it, buddy. You're the best. So, but I've been waiting to take it in and do it, and I've been playing other shit like nonstop. So what's funny to me though is that I'll get one of these messages still like every week or so, and I just love like
it's a nice guitar.
The degrees that they'll go to try to like trick me. Like one guy's like, I play for my church. And I think this would be a really sweet front piece for me in the church. It's like, okay, buddy. Yeah, what kind of church is it? Where are you? Like, the level that they try to go to. And I've even heard now that Mike's like, I'm just going to build my own. Okay, you got me. I'm glad that you hate me so much that I've given you a new hobby.
Yeah, I used to have a BC Rich Iron Bird when I was like in my 20s. And then I ended up selling it for weed. I was a degenerate at the time, and I loved that guitar so much.
Yeah, this one I actually, all jokes aside, like when I put it together, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty nice. It's very light and it's very comfortable. I don't know that I would use those pickups, and I don't love the sound of those pickups. They're sort of very vintage. It's almost like a Gretsch in a Telecaster body, But yeah, like most of what I play, like I play Les Pauls. I have 2 Les Pauls. One's from the 70s is the first guitar I got as a kid. And then I have a Jaguar bass, and then I have a Variax guitar, and then I have a Schecter Strat. Like I have, and then I just got a Revolta P90, which by the way, I think one of the Redbar fans owned, and then I bought it off Reverb. So what I thought was funny is they're like, oh, now we can't buy the guitar because he needs that money to fund the special. And I was like, oh, no, you have to buy it or else the special won't happen. Obviously, that wasn't the case.
When you say DuckTales, are you referring to the DuckTales, like NBOP?
Who are you talking to?
Oh, I don't know. When you said DuckTales, I was thinking of the NBOP song. You ever heard that? Mike's DuckTales song?
DuckTales. Who said DuckTales?
Oh, I thought you did.
No, I didn't say. I don't think I did.
Oh, I thought I heard that. Have you heard Mike's NBOP song?
Oh yeah, of course. That's the talent I was referring to.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's what I heard. You are on fool's notice. Oh my God. See, all of this, but this is what you have to learn. I don't know. Maybe years ago it was a little more intimidating, but now like the newer Redbar fans, when you see the guys repeat the words like Redbar's watching and you're on fool's notice.
It's very cucky. Like you're literally saying, I'm here to troll you on behalf of another man.
Grown man. Yeah.
It's like wearing another sports player's jersey and then being like, I'm Jordan. Ew.
It's one thing to simp for a woman, but to simp for a grown adult man, come on. The groupthink needs to die, guys. I've been trying to kill this groupthink. I don't know. You could also like multiple things at once, because this is an example of when I was growing up, when I was a huge Howard Stern fan, and Howard Stern hated Opie and Anthony. And because Howard hated them, I refused to listen to them, right? And then it wasn't until Howard turned pretty lame, in my opinion. He became, I just want to be the interviewer guy. I'm going to bury my whole past. I don't want people to see anything from the Miss America days or the Private Parts. Don't watch Private Parts. Don't read those books. I'm this new guy with therapy. Then I started digging into Opie and Anthony. I was like, hey, this is actually pretty fucking good. I liked it. Why was I putting this off for so long? And you realize, like, he's got a bunch of new fans now that are very impressionable, that if a guy says, fuck these comedians, they all suck, and you try to express that you like one of them, you will get shit on. You will get bullied out of the BBG or the group. Like, I think Joey Diaz is an example of one of them. Like, Joey Diaz, I think, is fucking hilarious. He's not, is he a good guy? Has he done shitty things in his past? Like, in their mind, from his coverage of him, it was like, well, he's a degenerate slob who does drugs. And it's like, he's been telling you that his whole career.
Yeah.
He's like, I got fucking a room over there. What do you want? You want Xannies? You want fucking Oxycontin? I got it all, dog. It's in the room over there. I used to give people the star of death and watch them fucking pass out. Like, that is Joey Diaz. I kidnapped my fucking best friend. All of that. But he's still funny. And on podcasts, a lot of the times I find more funny than his sets, I guess. But
yeah, I think
you can like both.
I've seen you be like, stand up is dead and nobody's good at it and I don't enjoy it. And I do think that's a prevailing thought, that people have, that like,
because it's contrived. It's contrived.
Yeah, there's so much
that's why people don't like it.
Yeah, there's so much other kinds of comedy now. Whereas like when I started in 2007, like there wasn't TikTok wasn't a thing. YouTube was hardly a thing. The idea that you could, film your own sketches and put them up on the internet was like very new. And so the idea of like doing comedy at all was sort of based in stand-up. I don't think it would have been any different for me if I started later in life or whatever, but who knows? But it's the kind I enjoy the most, and I think it's the kind I'm the best at, so that's why I do it. But there's so many times I have friends that are other comics who are like, you got to make clips, you got to put clips out, you got to you got to post, and you got to be on TikTok. And I don't want to do it, I'm not gonna. Well, it's like, do I want to make? Like, I haven't done anything in 12 years, like content wise, which is absolutely atrocious and terrible for your career as far as stand-up goes. And then criticism for that is totally warranted. But I also don't think you have to you should be putting shit out every 6 months either. Like, I think letting stuff cook for a while is not a bad thing. And so I'll do this special. And this one will be out, I'm hoping, by July 4th weekend. Maybe before that, because I do think there's some bits in there that would be really funny to put out during Gay Pride Month. But I'll probably wait 2 more years at least to do the next one to make sure I'm really happy with where that is. So, I just think this race to, like, you look at guys like Stavros, and I love, again, here's a great example. Stavros probably hates my guts because the comedy community tells him it's cool to do that. He definitely hates my politics, which is fine. I don't need him to like me or agree with my politics to tell you that he's one of my favorite comics. I think he's hilarious. But the dude's putting crowd work clips out every fucking 5 minutes, and it's great. You're feeding the beast. You're growing your fan base. You're making all kinds of money. You're touring like crazy. But I wouldn't just put out bullshit clips or crowd work clips because I just don't think that work is worth publishing. I think in a way, it's like you're kind of ruining the fun of coming to shows. And some people would argue like, well, that's advertising the fun of going to a show. But in a weird way, it's like, what happens between a comic and an audience is for that audience. And so when you take that and you just put it out for everybody to see all the time, they probably feel a little less special about it. And so I don't know, maybe I'm being too precious about like putting stuff out, but I don't have a problem being one of these guys who doesn't put clips out every time I get behind a microphone. And a lot of times it's not worthy of it, right?
A lot of those comedians get boxed into that too. What is it? Matt Rife and
Rife's a good example. Yeah.
Steve Hofstetter, was he one of them? Who's the other guy who does a lot of crowd work and he was posted on TikTok? And then they kind of get boxed into that style. And then when people go to see them and they don't get that, they're disappointed. And I know that's why in Matt Rife's case, he did the whole thing where I'm just gonna fucking turn the whole table on everybody and go anti-woman when I was catering to women.
Yeah, but the reality of that to me was Matt Rife got huge, right? He's good looking. His stand-up clips have done really, really well. He's very good at that. He built a thing. But like being a good crowd work comic does not translate to charging $125 a ticket and doing theaters or arenas. And if your material sucks that they're paying to see, you're never going to get that money from them again. They'll be like, that was a fun time, but I don't know if I would go back. Right. So like, that's the danger I think of doing that is like, I said this to Ye when we were talking about business. And I say this to my friends that are comics all the time. It's like an old business saying, but you can shear a sheep many times. You can skin it only once. And I feel like making your fans feel like you're tricking them into spending money on tickets or seeing you perform and you don't actually perform or deliver on what they want to see, that's skinning the sheep. And, you know, I definitely try not to do that.
Here's some messages here. These guys spend their hard-earned money on this. ANP, he's got multiple here. I saw Denny's worst set in New Jersey. 2 people max. Denny thought I was a fan. I wasn't. Gotcha.
No, first of
Denny's
all, Anand,
full recorded bad set on my channel. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. By the way, Anand, I did know you were a troll. I saw you the minute you walked in. You were wearing
Interview
a
with
fucking
an Uber
Stars
driver.
Club hoodie. And that was a terrible show, by the way. It was a show that I got booked on, and it was a Passover weekend in a Jewish part of New Jersey. Nobody fucking came to that. It was like me and Bisconti and like 5 of my friends, and a waitress had a seizure in the middle of the show. But yeah, and then there was a drunk fan who was in the front trying to film me and fuck with me, and I was just took his phone from him and talking shit to him the whole time. And Anand thought he was really smart in the back, like hanging out, filming audio or trying to film from the. There were 2 people there, and they were both trolls. I saw it, and there are shows like that, by the way, where you just have a bad night and there's nobody there. That happens when you book shows through other promoters or you leave it up to other people to like make sure your tickets are selling and everything. I stopped doing that. I stopped doing shows where, you know, it's like a guarantee and then it's on them to pay. Like I got paid at the end of that night to do that show, but I just rather now, especially with all my experiences with Kumia and Gavin, you know, in the situations where we've had venues cancel shows last minute and stuff, and then stick us with having to come up with a new plan or refund tickets. I just don't even like to fuck with that. Like if somebody invites me to perform at something, like I give them a flat fee, this is what it costs. And usually now that prices out any of like the bullshit promoters or clubs or people that just wouldn't pay that. But like, you know, I don't, the days of doing like comedy for $150 and buffalo wings, like that shit is way behind me. Like I would rather stay at home and drive Uber and make $200 in a night than fucking fly across the country to do comedy for 6 fucking people. Yeah. And by the way, that's why I don't tour. Like, you know, when we go out after the special, we're going to do a tour, and we're going to do like a tiny room tour of like 50 seaters, like dive bars and coffee houses and stuff. And because that's the level that I'm at, I'm not going to go try to do like 100-seater, 200-seater clubs and then have to argue with the owners on why they're half full. Like I know what level I'm at as a comedian, but I do think there's a way to make money at that level. And it's definitely better than going to clubs and being an opener and making like $400 to do 6 shows over a weekend. I think that model is dead. So, you know, but I do think you can go out and do shows that are of the size fan base that you have, that you can confidently sell tickets to and have fun and have a career and a living and build from there. So
is this a guy that has been like trying to follow you? Because he's like, he said, liar, you thanked me for being a fan. You know me. Denny knows me. Ha ha ha. You fell for it or something. What, he came to the show to pretend to be a fan?
Yes, and he took a picture with me and Gino. He took a picture with me and Gino at the end, and as he walked down, I looked at Gino and go, that guy's a Redbar troll. He's been a Redbar fan forever. And he's like, oh, really? Yeah, he's like a Middle Eastern looking dude. I know him because he looks like Levon Sultanian, the guitar player from One Side Zero. And the first time I saw him, I was like, is that Levon? But it's not. And so that's why I remember him.
That's bizarre, man. I saw something like Mike was doing something with what's his name? Fuck. It's on the top of my head. Where he was going he was asking fans to sleep on their couches. Fuck, what's his name?
Is that?
God damn it, help me guys. I'm having a brain fart. I know him. He's married to that weird woman Booby or Bubby or something. She looks like blue. Fuck. What is his name, guys? You know what I'm talking about. He put out a post saying, I want to do a tour around the country. Any fans that will allow me. Doug Stanhope. Fuck. And he's like, any
Bingo
fans.
is his wife's name.
Bingo. Bingo.
Yeah.
I don't know what I said.
Booby. Jesus, man.
His Mike said she's blue or something. I don't know. She's a blue woman.
Blue hair. She has blue hair.
I was like, she's blue, and then I looked, it was just her hair. But he did a thing where he's like, I want fans to offer me a couch to sleep on. And then Mike was like, well, you better watch out. He's trying to like regain this fear because none of the comedians fear him anymore. And he's like, you better watch out. One of those couches you sleep on might be a Redbar fan recording you privately, and you'll never know. They're going to film you while you're sleeping and all that stuff. And it's like, it's so strange that I believe he would actually do that. Because he has done that before. And with the example you just gave, he's like, guys are coming to shows as a troll or to show up and go, Grandma's watching, but you paid for the ticket.
These guys are such like, I mean, for lack of a better phrase, these guys are such milquetoast fags that they stick out like a sore thumb. Like they'll go, they'll come, they can't look you in the eye. They like you like if they come up to you at a meet and greet or they come up to you after the show and you got to shake their hand, they give you a dead fish. Oh my God, they're terrified. They're terrified that they're discovered immediately. So you know a Redbar fan at the show the minute they're there because they're looking over their shoulder like they're gonna get got at any moment, and nobody fucking cares.
It's just
like nobody gives a shit.
It's just a disturbance.
Gavin ran up to one to just talk to him at a show, and he fucking cowered like he was going to get punched in the face.
Oh, Sam Tripoli beat the shit out of one with Eddie Bravo. Allegedly, sorry. Whacked the guy around. That's what I heard.
Yeah, well, I know I've heard several of those stories about what almost happened and what did happen at many different times. So, you know. And listen, that's what I was talking about on that interview with that clown guy or whatever, when he was asking me, and I was saying like eventually this shit's going to escalate and somebody's going to get really hurt, and then the liability is going to go back to one of these fucking podcasts where kids' parents are going to sue one of these podcasters for telling them go to their shows and cause trouble, and then like they're going to get fucked up, and then their parents are going to want to sue somebody, and that's what's going to happen. So it's just not
sacrificing his fans either. There's a fine line there, because then you could say in one case of like, oh, because people used to say, oh, you listen to like Eminem or something, a rap album with a lot of cursing, and then a guy goes into school and shoots it up, or listens to Marilyn Manson. You can't blame the influence, blah, blah, blah. But he's actively saying, guys, I want you to book a couch for Doug Stanhope and then record him and, fuck with him. Like, he's actively telling people to do it. And if not, it's like dog whistling people to do it. Like, this would be a really good idea.
The thing I would warn his fans is, sure, but you don't know how that person's going to react. So you could do that and think like, oh, good, I'm going to have the clip of the week and I'm going to be Redbar in the wild and Mike's going to love me. And then you fuck with Stanhope and he wakes up in the middle of it and he shoots you in the fucking face because he's weird about shit like that. Right. So like, you just don't, it's just like, do you really want to, that's the thing. Like people with when the Schaub shit was happening and all the shows about shows were covering Brendan Schaub. And I was like, how do you on one hand think that dude has CTE and then you're going to go to his shows and talk shit to him? Like, that's not smart. Like, I got a buddy who's got CTE. I do a podcast with him. Come talk shit to him at a show and see how that goes for you. It ain't going to go so well, right? Like, it's just not, it's not a good way to internet. And that's the thing is like, there's so much stuff out there that you could spend time on that you enjoy. At least there is for me, that like, I can't imagine spending any of my time on stuff that I don't enjoy. Like there's not enough time in a day to like sit. What am I going to watch fucking Chrissy right now? Talk about Nick Rekieta? Who gives a shit, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the problem with like podcasting to the degree of like, I got to get the numbers up. I'm trying to make this into an income or whatever. It's like, you're letting the fact that it's now a business drive your behavior, which is fine if that's the thing that, if you're doing the thing you really like. But if you're doing that as a means to try to do the thing you really like, then man, it gets very soul sucking and you're probably not going to be very good at it.
Yeah, I do. I saw someone say, Denny thinks Stanhope is close to losing his mind to murder someone. No, it's like the joke kind of makes sense to put the paranoia and fear in him and then be like, well, nothing is actually going to happen. It's kind of like Kendrick saying, there's wires in your circle. There's a guy next to you who's against you and he could be recording you. You don't know who it is. Like, you know, that's where Mike got the idea from, I'm sure, because he compares a lot of the stuff he does to rap beefs. He claimed himself as basically the Drake of podcasting, or I crowned him that. Very subversive.
Very big, real hype beast for sure.
Hype beast, yeah.
Dype beast, that's great. How's that not a shirt?
Very subversive. Mike will not respond to you directly, and this is his cope for not responding directly. It's like a rap beef, and that's how you win. And you don't get into conflicts you don't want to get into. You respond subversively. You put little hints out there, and then let them know that they saw what you said, but they're not going to respond to you. That's how you don't get into conflicts. So he's like the Drake of podcasting. Also, as far as like stealing ideas from other people, like Pod Awful.
It's all very gay. Me. It's all very, very gay. Like even the Kendrick and like two of the corniest black dudes who've ever picked up a microphone are that's who we're watching.
Yeah,
now.
It wasn't aggressive enough. It wasn't aggressive enough.
It was gay and soft. Like, come on.
That's why I played Tupac over that. Cause like there was that was not hit him up. That was it was like, I don't like you. I know it was a reference to DMX. You don't have to tell me. I don't like the way you dress or walk.
Yeah,
you're a bully. Imagine saying you're a bully in a rap battle.
Yeah. Well, I not to spoil a bit from the special, but like one of my biggest disappointments is that we don't have black celebrities that I'm afraid of anymore. Like that used to be like, I'd be terrified to be in the same room
like 50
with the game.
Cent.
That's how it should be. No, even 50 Cent wouldn't scare, but the game, I would be terrified to be in the same room.
That's what I meant. 50 Cent's now like a funny troll guy on social media and would be probably cool to hang out with.
What happened to all of our scary blacks? They're all pussies now. Like, when did black dudes stop being terrifying?
AMP says, Redbar is the Gigi Allen of podcasting. You mean what? Like eating his own shit?
Yeah. That's
smearing his own shit all over the place?
By the way, the worst artists in the history of every kind of art love citing Gigi Allen.
That's kind of a weird comparison to make. How is he
That's
Gigi
like bad
Allen?
comics talking about how great Bill Hicks was. It's like there are these artists that shitty artists obsess over, and with comics it's Bill Hicks, and with musicians it's Gigi Allen, or artists it's Gigi Allen. It's so hack.
Redbar and Kendrick are Kangs. Come on, man. No. The Kendrick song is the Not Like Us is catchy. The rest of it was corny, and even Not Like Us is kind of corny because I don't know. It wasn't aggressive enough, the whole thing. Drake, but in the end, I do agree. Like Drake was accused of being a pedo, and I like that. I like that happened because there's evidence of it. There's evidence of him having weird relationships with very young stars and texting with them, kissing them on the lips, 17-year-olds on stage. Oh, but it's legal in Canada, man.
No, that's a bad look.
Don't even get it.
I don't have text exchanges with 11 from Stranger Things, right? Like, and nor would I. Like, if somebody was like, you know, who's a big fan of yours is this child actor, I'll be like, I'll talk to him when they're 18. Until then, stay over there. Like, I didn't like the fact that the show I did for the Food Network was like a family show, and like people would bring their kids out to our tapings, and I was like, oh, now I gotta be fucking Blues Clues for these kids. I don't like that at all.
Oh god,
but,
someone wants me to play this. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. Mike does all these karaoke performances, and he does like Lana Del Rey.
Oh,
you ever seen this?
Those are so cringe.
Oh,
I saw them back when he was in the Chicago studio.
Please tell me this works. Let's see. Is it showing up? The screen share on Discord? Do you see it? Are you able to see it?
Nope.
Damn. You sure it's not that you clicked off it, like out of the grid mode or something? Let's see.
I just saw myself this.
Hold on.
All right.
Something just popped up in a separate window.
You could also do it from here, but then you won't hear it.
Oh, now I can see. Now we're good.
Yeah, you'll see it, but you won't hear it. I tried to do the screen share on Discord where you should be able to hear it as well. I'm not sure why you're not seeing that.
Just 3 more verses.
It's like so dystopian. It's like watching an old man trying to figure out how to play piano.
Called up one drunk, called another. Forensic Files wasn't on. Watching teenage
Oh, I put a timestamp.
Diary of a
Perfect.
girl. I'm a princess.
Oh yeah, I can
I'm
faintly hear it.
divisive, Don't know why
super
I'm like
faint.
this.
I'm
Maybe
a princess,
just
I'm
kinda
divisive. I don't know
maybe
why
I'm
I'm like this.
I say I live in Rosemead, really I'm at the
It's just bizarre, man.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if
Watch,
anything,
this is something the
this-
guy should be doing alone where no one's watching, but we're happy to see it.
This is this sort of supports your theory that underneath all the vitriol is like a kid who so badly wanted to be part of the thing and wasn't invited and is now just so hurt and so bitter and is just like, please like me, please accept me.
This is reliving, because I've seen probably old clips of Mike kind of strumming the guitar. He was probably wanted to be a punk guy in a punk band. And this is kind of like the guy having the dream. I'm finally living the dream. I can go back to my childhood and be the performer I always wanted to be.
Yeah.
But
I'll give Mike
sucks.
$10,000 if he can find 5 friends to play those other instruments in the room with him.
Oh, that is a challenge there, Mike.
They can't be hired musicians. They got to be actual friends of yours.
Yeah, he's got the whole drum set over there, but he's never used it. I don't know if he can like actually get there physically. Here, like look at this.
Yeah, it's great gear.
It's the
lot of
flex.
great
It's the
gear
flex when you're
collecting
like, I got this whole thing and I don't even use it.
Yeah.
But he said he was going to hire someone to come in here and play these. He's
gotta
never
know-
going to let anyone else into this space.
No, he'd be so terrified that they're a spy.
Yeah, no, I love the people in here like coping, like, at least he's doing something. It's like sometimes you don't have to do it. Like, just end the show. We don't need to see this. An old man playing his piano.
I love that they go, at least he's doing something, and then I do something, and they go, quit trying, Denny.
Seeing an old man learn his mellotron. Okay, whatever, guys.
I bought a drum machine. I don't have a fucking clue how to work it. That's one of my to-dos of fun things that I want to try to figure out. But
okay, here, let's try something. I'm a princess. I'm divisive. I don't know why I'm like this.
I think step one.
It was just as good.
Step one of the drum pad is to figure out how to make a car crash explosion sound for my podcast. And then step 2 is learning how to program drums.
Yes, and then also, Josh, you have to have the most expensive thing of everything, right? that makes things good. When you spend a lot of money, it means good.
Yes.
Lots of money equals good.
That's been proven by the fact that his podcast out earns even the the horrible production value of the Adam Friedland show and the Tim Dillon podcast and all these other lower produced shows. Clearly
it's a lifestyle program. That's what people have I believe it was Jesse who said that from Pod Awful, and he's dead on. Red Bar is a lifestyle program. It's just a show. It's for a bunch of guys, and you would see they would share their Red Bar living rooms where they all show them making their living rooms look like this studio. The same aesthetic, the same lighting. They have the same bar set up. They get the Jim Beam and the Shagan and the Shmee, and they're like reenacting Mike's studio in their actual life. It's like, fuck, man. Put a poster on the wall or something.
This show is Wendy Williams for guys who couldn't describe what pussy smells like.
That's right. It's a lot of hipster.
Have you guys seen this? Have you heard this? Have you seen this? Well, let's dial it up and take a look.
Leo Dominique, the guy who interviewed, that is the typical Red Bar fan, that he embodies everything of what is a Red Bar fan? That guy. The tortured artist. I want to be an actor, but I live in the fucking car and I have all my belongings and I'm homeless and I'm stalking lossless. Here's some other messages here that I just skipped. You'd be nothing without Red Bar, Josh. Chris Benoit says Sven was supposed to use the drum set, but Sven was so wasted and refused, and Red Bar got butthurt and guilt tripped Sven for letting them down. Oh, yeah. So Sven was kind of like, they went to break and they took him aside and they're like, hey, Sven, can you stop with the Jew stuff and the Hitler stuff and the N-word?
There was a no J disclaimer, right?
Yeah, and that made him more mad. Then because he was trying to push Mike and challenge him. I don't know if you heard the whole thing, though, the story behind Sven basically got double vaxxed just to do the Red Bar show.
I heard that from your call with Sven, but I didn't know.
For no reason. He didn't even need to get vaxxed because the borders had closed right after he got vaccinated. And then once they reopened, you didn't need to be vaxxed. And so a year later, he finally does the show. And then his friend is like, you're acting weird, man. Stop talking about the Jews and saying the N-word and doing Hitler speeches. And it was pissing Sven off. And then they ghosted him after that. They just left him in his hotel room. Oh, I think I missed one. Kiff says, Josh, when are you and Corey Adam doing a podcast?
We've done them before. We've had Corey on our show. I mean, we would never do one together, though. We don't live in the same city. And also, as much as I love Corey, he's insufferable to talk to because it would be a horrible podcast because we have to I have to interrupt him or else I just have to listen to him talk for the entire, he does not breathe in between talking. So he gets so excited and passionate about something, it would be a podcast of interrupting each other and then arguing about interrupting each other. I mean, Carl and I have a hard enough time not interrupting each other constantly on our podcast. So I love Corey and I love doing stand-up with him, but a thing where we're supposed to both talk at the same time is impossible.
Yeah, dynamic is something you have to learn over time, too. Is Corey the same guy on Steel Toe? Is that the same Corey?
He was way back, yeah, way back.
Oh, okay. It wasn't. Wait, who was the guy who was on recently? And they got the new setup, the new backdrop with the boot.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know any of his other local dudes that go in studio.
Oh, I thought that was Corey. And then the lights are blaring into their face because they bought 30 lights.
No. Corey moved to Austin a year or two ago, and then was Skyping in for a while, and then quit the show altogether.
Yeah. Johnny G. Kino Casino gonna crush you two guys? I didn't know we were competing with Kino Casino. I love Kino Casino.
Oh no, Aaron's on Kino tonight, isn't he? I think so, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Aaron's supposed to be... Aaron's supposed to come on my show at some point.
He's definitely milking this as much as possible. Yeah. What's interesting is that in a weird, strange way, the narrative has become poor Aaron, right? And it's
I've held my mouth on the whole thing. But yeah, he's kind of being made into the victim or the hero, basically.
Yeah,
but
it's like, listen, you can't be a bumbling idiot one day and then the hero the next day. Like, you're either one or the other, you know? So, I mean, if my old lady left me and started fucking other guys, there'd be like a 3-week celebratory period where you wouldn't hear anything from me, but I wouldn't come back and try to play the victim by any means, right? It's life. It's life. It doesn't roll your way sometimes.
I don't know if I get the idea of like he wants to go back to his old school radio days to where you talked about everything on the air and everything was for the people because it made good radio. But
why he's getting divorced? That's why that's how all this happened. Was talking about everything.
I know it caused it, and now you're monetized. But I get both sides. Like, hey man, my life's going to shit. I might as well monetize it and make the best of it as I can. Get the most money I can. Who knows what if there will be a court battle over whatever. But now that she's arrested, probably make it easier for him. But I don't know, to put your life out there on the internet, put your wife out there on the internet first off, and then he would read every message, even the free ones, insulting his own wife. Is like, why would you subject her to that? You know, you could just not read it. She would have never saw any of that. It could have, I'm not saying it did, potentially have added to whatever stress was causing her to maybe do drugs in the first place. I don't know. We don't know when this started. I noticed something was off with her probably couple months ago. One of the first people, I think it was back in January, I said April seems to be not okay. I don't know, but I didn't get involved. Like I don't like to get super deep into what's going on with Aaron in his life, but he should come on here eventually. It's easier to get on his show because at this point he's just been letting anybody on his show.
That's like the meanest thing you've said this whole podcast. It's easier to get on his show. You play it so safe.
I didn't know if it came across that way, but I meant it as like, because with Aaron's schedule to go on another show, he's basically competing. You're competing with guys who are offering him money to do it. So like MLC, he went on and they gave him a percentage of donations. I think he made like, he said 4 figures, which could be anywhere from $1,000 to $9,000. So who knows? And then he made more on his own.
1,000, yeah, but that's great.
That's like, a lot of money.
I mean, listen, if you're gonna do it, make money at it, sure. But like, I don't know. That's even, you know, if the trolls and shit were like coming at me about doing Kevin Brennan's show, and I know that's just because he wants me to talk shit about Melton. But like, you're not paying me anything to come do this. You just were talking with me candidly about it, and then about the Ricada shit. But it's like, I don't like Kevin enough to go on his show to talk shit about other people. Like, and I know that's the only, like, this is what's funny is like everyone on the internet clips everything and sends it to everybody. So like every time Brennan has talked shit about me on his shows, like people send it to me. And then you want to be like, hey, come on our show. You know, we'll pay you. It's like, yeah, what? Couple $100 to be? No, I don't need it. You know, it's funny for a guy who's supposed to be super broke. I turn down a lot of money that people offer me, so I must be figuring something out.
This is funny to me to see people say, "Come on, Aaron is winning, guys. Just admit it." It's like, in what? Yeah, but you got to see there's a balance. There's real life, and then there's the internet, right? You could be winning on the internet. I got lots of money. Oh wow, but like your family's falling apart. You have kids, like. A lot of these guys don't even realize that, or they're too young, or they don't have any sort of relationship that turned into a marriage or has kids involved and all of that. So they're like, who cares? It's kind of funny. You know, his whole life fell apart. His wife's on coke and went to jail. And now his kids lost their stepmother, but he's up. Aaron's up because he was on MLC and got $1,000. It's like, you can work a real career and make more than that.
Well, that's what I think is
$1,000 on one day, not every day.
That's one of the things that I think is so funny about the Dabbleverse is like, you want me to sum up the Dabbleverse in one sentence? It's like a guy with 100 listeners calling a guy with 95 listeners a faggot. It's like, that's what it is. It's like, it's so...
Now imagine being a small town show, so small that your sponsor is a local Stoney's bar that only 5 people can go to. Then suddenly that day, that live stream Aaron did had like 1,000 people watching it live. And then it was like 1,600 on MLC. But that's not continuous. It's not consistent. You know, it's not like, is that worth putting your whole life out there? And now also, I guess there was no avoiding April's arrest getting out there. But I mean, putting that all out there, now April forever for the rest of her life, that is on wax. That is going to be on internet history. So was it worth it?
That's the thing. And that's the thing that really annoys me of like that extra step of like, you know, this is why I know it's bullshit when people like Melton are like, this is just fun. It's like, no, it's not. You're really trying to hurt this girl and ruin her life. You're posting the fucking video clip that went up today of like her being racist on the show and like her at the George Floyd memorial or whatever. Like you're like cutting that shit together and creating it because you want this period of her life, whether she wants it to be part of her life or not, you want this to ruin her life. And it's like, that's fucking gay, dude. That's the part where I go, it's not comedy. You're a cunt. You've always been a cunt. And you take it that extra level of like, you're not just having fun. You really are trying to ruin somebody's life because you're a bitter, spiteful cunt. And so that's the argument. That's the pushback I always have from Melton is like, do not try to sell this like you're trying to be entertaining. You're really a miserable sack of shit. And you take this extra thing of like, we're going to cut together every time April was racist on the show so that she can never get a job ever again. And that's the step that's going to cause somebody to show up at your house one day and fucking kill you. And you're going to go like, oh, what a victim I am. No, you started it.
God
like,
damn, that was a good fucking Melton impression. That's the like thing. Spot on. I thought that was him. For
4 years. He also says everything twice. Oh, you're winning, Steel Toe? You're not. You're not. It's like it's so it's Jimmy 2 times over here. He fucking repeats himself all the time. It's
get the papers. Get the papers.
Yeah, that's him. That's him. It's just, oh, is it a win? It's a win. It's like
that is good, guys. Come on.
So unlistenable. Really yeah. No, but we podcasted together for 4 years. Of course, I know his voice. Like, he should be able to impersonate me too.
Jeez. Yeah, but I don't know. What did he do before? Because I haven't followed. What did he do before the fucking steel toe shit? I think people had told me he had
Ty Rivera. It was all Ty Rivera, who's a good friend.
Here's My Garage guy. Is that who that is?
No, Ty Rivera is Ty
Lopez.
No, Ty Rivera is the best LGBT comedian in the world. He's Ty's kind of like a troll who just talks about everything happening in the comedy sphere. At least that's what he's done up until this point. But he just had a series of videos like talking shit about the mothership and how they did him dirty over there and what's fucked up with the Austin comedy scene. But like Ty's a guy who's kind of like always done his own thing and stayed in his own lane. And is like, just to me, I think he's hilarious because he literally is like my idea of like gay guys. And that's funny to me. But yeah, for that's what I think is so funny is like before it was Steel Toe, it was like 2 years of covering Ty Rivera stuff. Like, how old is he really? You know, what are his blunders and everything else? It's like you can't be a guy who is hardly in comedy. I mean, this is where the phrase Dabbleverse comes from, right? These are guys who like do 2 shows a year, shitting on a guy who does 1 show a year. It's like, what are we doing? How about if you guys took an ounce of the time you spend talking shit about each other and actually did comedy, you'd all have careers. There's a pretty easy solution to this. Just go try to be comedians and stop talking gossip about other comedians as I do it right now. But you know,
I think the thing is that they're starting to realize that at first it was like the Joe Rogan circle. They realized, hey, podcasting is the vehicle to promote the stand-up act, but now it's almost like it's easier to just be the podcast comedian and then do some stand-up every now and then because these guys are getting donations after donations after donations. He's getting all this money sent to him just to have these messages read out in people's voices nonstop, and you gotta weigh it. Would he have made more money just doing stand-up versus just being a guy doing a podcast, comedic podcast? But what happens when Steel Toe falls off and it's no longer interesting?
Yeah, that's the thing. Else. Like, so what's the show then? What is the show? Like, and what if the next thing you pick is a miss and fans think it's boring and dumb? Like, who are you going to cover then? Like, I mean, I told Corey when Corey and I were talking about all this stuff like a couple of weeks ago, I said, if Aaron wants to fuck Patrick over, he should just stop doing his show for 2 weeks. Because if Patrick can't stream snipe him, if Patrick can't stream snipe him every day, Patrick can't make a show. What's he going to do? Go on and talk about what would happen if Steel Toe were on the air that day?
This is funny. So I want to let you guys in on a little secret here because I'm seeing some people in the chat. It's the usual like shitheads. They're like, he loves Redbar. And Robin is in the chat room, a girl from Robin, 9 years. She can vouch. She has never seen me watching Redbar. This is the funniest part about it. I don't even watch Redbar. At most, I will find a clip that revolves around something that I've said. So if I say something on this show and Mike responds to it, and you know he's doing it because he looks over like he's talking to the chat, but you know nobody in his chat is sharing that sentiment. That is exactly what I said on the previous episode. If it involves me, I respond to it and I pull the clips. And funny enough, everything that I've done has now come true. Like, look, the Clippers have run rampant. You got guys immediately posting hour-long clips of Redbar right after it ends in the shittiest quality or not, hour-long, 2 hour long. And he has no control over it anymore. So you're welcome, Clippers, by the way. But no, that's the thing. They go, he's a secret Redbar fan. It's like, I seriously have not watched the show in probably over a year. It was like, I got into it during the pandemic, like most people, because he was flooding all of his clips onto YouTube. It was like 2021 or so, 2022, season 17 and 18. And I found a lot of it funny at that point. And then it just kind of fell off for me. But they're convinced that, no, he secretly watches the show. I can't sit for fucking 8 hours.
8 hours?
It's insane. It's insane. And how do you do an 8 hour show and you don't take a bathroom break? Ever think of that?
Well, it's because you're
giant bladder or
hyped up, dude. You don't have to.
That's the biggest proof of diaper ever.
Yeah, you could do 8 shows without getting up, or 8 hour shows without getting up for 1 second. People go, he takes breaks.
Okay, here's one. Ask Josh, how does he feel about Melton using his voice to make money with super tips?
Oh, I don't think I've heard that. I mean, I know that he uses like an AI. Yeah, I think he uses an AI thing, but I don't care about that.
He does, yeah. It's like an AI.
By the way,
version.
By the way, Melton didn't pay me $1 in the 4 years that I did his podcast with him. So if I were mad about him making money off of me, I would be mad about that still, and not whatever the fuck is happening today. So.
Yeah, no, I was curious if there was any way we did
marathon shows where we raised $10,000 and $20,000 a clip. I never got a dime of that. We did the live shows, which he paid for my flight for the New York live show, but I didn't get any money from that show. Like, so all this stuff when like the big falling out with Patrick and I was him being like, he lied to me and betrayed me, and the things that he said were lies. Were either assumptions he made or, him trying to take something of like the plane crash lie, which is everybody's favorite, is like he and I having an argument on a plane about gear up landings. And, it was just that. It was an argument. So there was never like a story where I was like, I was in a plane crash. The argument was about gear up landings, and he's like, oh, you know more than me on this? What were you in one? And I go, yeah, fuckface. What if I was? That was the conversation. And then later on his show, we got into an argument about, other stuff that he's like, oh, you always lie and embellish. Like, you made me think that you used to drink and now you don't drink. And I go, no, I didn't. Like, you assume that because my when he was like, "Why don't you drink?" I go, "Everyone in my family has problems with drug and alcohol, so I steered clear from a young age because everyone in my family are like addicts and losers." And he thought that meant me too. He just assumed, and then never really dug deeper, and was like, "Oh, well, you misled me." And I go, "No, you didn't. You didn't ask. You didn't ask, and you probably told other people that I had a problem because you felt uncomfortable around other people." As you were trying to do coke deals to heighten your status in the comedy community, you felt uncomfortable that your friend was straight edge. So it's
I do remember that. They were kind of like bullying you, like, "Hey man, why won't you have a drink and be one of the boys?" Like,
oh yeah,
shaming you for not drinking. That's funny.
There was really no reason for me not to. When we went to New York, he was like, "Have a beer," and then I did, and then my asshole exploded, and I was like, "This is why I don't have beers."
Yeah, some people are allergic to it and have bad reactions.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I was, but I know I'm allergic to gluten now, so maybe that was an early warning sign or something. But
I brought up the voices thing because I was thinking, is that actionable? Because this whole new thing with AI now, could you do something if someone's using your voice with your face, reading it out messages that you have not said, or is it considered parody? Where does that fall legally is what I'm
sure it falls under parody. By the way, like,
I'm asking because I want Mike David voice and I want Super Tip on this show so I can have a fake Mike David voice.
It's not hard to do.
So Josh, I've reached out to Melton and he wrote back. He said he's gonna get me on board with the Super Tip, and he said, "Yeah, I have to wait till after Hackamania is over." So
there you go.
I have to wait 2 weeks. What is this Hackamania thing, by the way? Do you know?
Beats me. I just think it's funny that after I booked 2 tours, all of a sudden Melton's in the promoter business.
Okay,
I hasn't done a single stand-up thing in fucking 10 years. I put on 2 tours, and now he's like, "I'm doing a festival." Oh, okay.
That's the context that Mike was using, that when he was talking about you and like with Sam Hyde and Gavin and Kumia and then now Vito and Dick Masterson. He's saying that you're the promoter guy.
No, I'm not a promoter. No, I run a comedy production company.
Okay.
And I started doing it with my tour with Gavin and Anthony, and now I do it for other people. I don't do it for Dick and Vito because Dick and Vito don't want, Dick particularly doesn't want to tour and doesn't want to do any live dates, and that's fine. But I do it for other comedians, and I don't do it for free. I do it for money. That's what I do for work. So, and I also, by the way, will start producing specials and albums and stuff like that. Like, we're going to do everything comedy related for the kind of comics that I like and that I think are sort of like the new alt. Right. So like people like Sam Hyde, they're not going to get booked in traditional ways. They're not going to be on Netflix. They're not going to be on Amazon or any of these other things. So like,
I didn't know Sam Hyde did stand-up comedy. That was surprising.
Yeah.
I know he did he was famous for the fake TED Talk and he does MDE and all that stuff, but I didn't know he did straight up stand-up. Like, what does he do on stage? Like, what's
funny? I mean, I think it's definitely unique. It's different. But I mean,
not a traditional stand-up act though, right? It's got to be.
It's very Sam. Like, there's no other way to describe it. It's really, really funny shit, the clips I've seen, and I'm sure he's going to publish something probably this year. But I mean, I like the kind of interesting thing that came out of the publicity that I got from our show getting shut down in New Jersey with me and Gavin and Anthony is that other conservative or sort of canceled comedians from around the country started reaching out, whether it be directly to me or through, like, this one came through Ryan Rivera, where they were just like, "Hey, would Josh be willing to do this for us?" And I thought about it and I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do it, but eventually, because there's this thing of like, do you want to be the comedy business guy or do you want to be a comedian? And then I just kind of like lost my apprehension of like, well, obviously I'm a savvy business guy in the sense of like, I know my shit. I know how to negotiate. I know contracts. I know that type of stuff. So why couldn't I do this for people more than me? And so yeah, we gave it a run, and things are going pretty well. And yeah, I've got some other people on deck as well that I'm going to be working with. So, you know, as much as it sort of pains the Josh Denny as an Uber driver crowd, yeah, I have a bunch of other ways I make money, and most of them now come from comedy.
Is Sam Hyde one of the guys that you do producing for? That's what people are asking.
No, my company produces his tour right now. So.
Oh, okay. So there you go. You got your answer there. Funny enough, you say that. There's actually, I don't know if you know this, a guy who goes around LARPing as you. Your face, your name, yeah, and his name is Uber driver Josh Denny, and he goes around in Discords pretending to be you almost too accurately. It's bizarre. I was like, what if it was actually Josh just trolling all these like Redbar fans and people? Yeah, no, there's a guy out there who is you. He's your doppelganger. Who, like,
I have a lot of doppelgangers. I learned that when I had the show on Food Network of like.
He'll love that I said this, by the way.
A million people messaging me like, you look just like my grandson, and pictures of their grandson, and it's just a fat person with glasses who looks nothing like me.
Sam Hyde is a huge Redbar fan, by the way. Not his words, not mine. I thought I remember Sam Hyde saying he respects Mike, but does not watch the show because he does not like to watch things because he might be influenced by them. That's one of Hyde's philosophies, that you should not be watching anyone else because their material might rub off on you. He doesn't want to be accused of copying.
If maybe he would like Mike more if Mike put as much money in his pocket as I do, but I don't think it's a conflict of interest for him if he is a fan, and it's not a conflict of interest for me either. Like I like Sam. I think he's a really funny dude, and he's definitely original. And yeah, I mean our relationship on putting this tour on for the last few months has been great, and we'll keep doing it as long as they want to keep doing it. It's like not that crazy. So, and the same goes for anyone else I bring into the fold of comics, but they're basically, it's like, I'm only going to do this for people I want to do it for. I'm not like, again, I'm not in the business of like, this is what I want to do. It's like, I have skills, I'm good at it, and I can make money at it. That's great. But I'm definitely not going to do it for anybody I don't want to do it for. And I'm definitely not going to work with anybody that would be ungrateful or resentful or, or a pain in the ass. So, that's kind of the benefit of being in a position where you're not beholden to anybody else in how you do business. It's like, I have the relationships that I have in comedy because I've always been a straight shooter with people. And if people value that and like it, then we'll get along great. So, I that's what I think is so funny is that, and I know that they do this because they know it bothers me, but I'm like, people are like, oh, everything you say is a grift and a lie or whatever. And it's like, well, I know that's the troll because I pride myself on being an authentic and genuine person and being a straight shooter with people. But there's only so much of screaming that into the void that is going to work with people that actually know me and know who I am. And then they're just going to be like, okay, well, this is obviously all dumb bullshit because we know you and we know none of this is true. And I don't care about anybody who is not the people that I'm close with or work with or care about. Like, what's the saying? It's like a Van Gundy quote where it's like, don't take criticism from anybody whose advice you wouldn't seek.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's my perspective about it all, is like, unless I'm being criticized by somebody I actually respect or think highly of, it's all noise. It's all noise.
I love some of these comments here. People say, Lossless is nice. He just keeps inviting the worst people. And then this other guy says, he's not nice. He's a weirdo. He just presents as nice. It's like, I'm just being myself, guys. You guys are fucking wacky. And then someone else said, you just gave the same exact take that Mike gave on Aaron. I have not even seen Mike's take on Aaron. And wouldn't you think that maybe it was just a pretty basic take that anyone with a brain who doesn't follow this whole Dabbleverse thing would have, which is something Mike is too? I didn't even know he gave a take on Steel Toe. I thought he said the Steel Toe coverage is lame. That's what he said.
Yeah, I would think that would be beneath him, right?
He said it was. Apparently, it's
start
not.
covering Steel Toe at this point would just be trend jacking from lesser shows, right? He doesn't ever do that.
Yes, he does. Hey guys, by the way, Mike would never steals. Like I said, he's the Drake. It doesn't matter how big or small you are. Go look at my last thumbnail and then go look at his most recent thumbnail for his show, and you'll notice there's something a little similar there. Mike's stealing a little sauce. I've noticed it. You weren't canceled, dude. You just aren't funny enough to have fans. Damn, people like
that is the prevailing narrative. I mean, I guess
got a Brendan Schaub effect going on where like you got to monetize it. Don't make the same mistake he made where he was like, "This bothers me so much. This bothers me so much. I have to sue people and silence people." If Brendan Schaub would have made a stupid T-shirt or something that said like "Welcome to the Trug," he would have made a fucking fortune off of it. But he was
The other thing he could have done is just put out a much funnier stand-up special. So I think if I do that, I'll be fine.
That's true. Speaking of, I guess this is where we can end on this note. People asking, when does the special come out? When does the special come out? Do you have any
First of
idea?
all, they'll be the first to know because they're the first to know everything, right? But yeah, July 4th at the latest. It might be before that.
July 4th? Okay.
July 4th. It'll be out by July 4th.
And you're saying this guitar thing, there's some payoff there? You're not going to spoil it, but is there?
No, there's no payoff. The payoff is that Mike was never going to buy it, and that I didn't need the money from selling it. Like the whole point is, I've just had fun with them with it because they made it such a new topic to cover. Because they're like, here's the other thing: if you are watching Redbar and you don't realize that all the talk of the guitar is to avoid him admitting all the L's he's taken, he's wrong, right? Like when I got into a car accident last year, they're like, "That's it, he's over." Didn't happen. When you said I wouldn't have the money to make the guitar, didn't happen. When you said I needed to sell the guitar to make the special, didn't happen. When you said that I had to bribe the crew to come do the didn't happen. They all got paid. Like, all of these things are just proven L's time and time again. The special will never come out. That'll be an L too. So I don't know how many L's the guy needs to take before like fans who aren't fully retarded and in the cult go, "Man, maybe Mike is full of shit and he's just trolling Denny." And yeah, if it, but the thing is like nobody's keeping records of the wins and losses, so you can't even think about it. Like, I'm not.
This is the secret sauce.
I'm not making the special to get at them. I'm making it because it's what I have to do for the next step.
This is the secret sauce for Mike. It's if he fucks up, oh, it was just a joke, and you don't get the show.
Right.
If he gets it right, Mike predicts.
Yeah.
He knows the future. He'll force things to happen and then go, "See, I told you it was going to happen. Like, I told you that guy was going to turn on me after I acted like a total asshole to him. What a surprise. I'm Nostradamus." Fucking asshole.
Yeah, and
Nostradamus was on purpose.
In a big way, he's a lot like Milo. Like, him and Milo are the same dude, where Milo will self-sabotage and then be like, "See, I told you so." And you're like, "Wait, you made that happen."
Yeah. So this is what Jesse had made this point that podcasting was never supposed to be cool. You're never supposed to be, it's a nerdy thing to be a podcaster. And Mike has somehow prioritized being cool over being a podcaster to where now he's like roped all these people in. Like, Mike's a cool guy, so no matter what he does, it's cool. Even if he's wrong or fucks up or is basically a Scientologist cult that is basically set up to disparage and destroy other people's careers and discredit them with lies, and people love it. Not knowing the person at the other end is having to deal with all of these lies. Like, that's actual defamation if someone lies about you, but then they'll be like, "Oh, you're a pussy if you ever fight back." And so, like, what are the options? It's either A, ignore totally, or now B, people have, like Howie Mandel recently, I've noticed, is fucking fooling Mike pretty good, saying he loves Redbar, loves when Redbar makes fun of him. He enjoys it.
This is the old obeyment, right?
Obeyment. But if you listened, we had a old clip of Mike from this Redbar Historia, Just Rude, if you're listening. It's from his channel. And it's a clip of Mike saying, no, you want them to hate the attention. You want it to hurt. The moment they enjoy the attention, it's no longer fun. So by Mike's own definition, he's not having any fun because nobody is bothered by it. People love it now. They're like, we love Redbar. He's important for the comedy scene because he lies, said Bobby Lee, by the way. Tell me how that makes sense.
Did you expect Bobby to have any less cowardly a take than that? Like, I think he's important.
Did you see he just raped George Janko? Did you hear that?
No. What the fuck is that?
Yeah. You know George Janko from this Logan Paul podcast?
I don't know anything about Logan Paul people at all. I know that Mike was obsessed with that show for a long time, but it never made me watch it.
This guy, George Janko, was like the third wheel on that podcast. He's a super religious guy, very religious. And Bobby Lee was a guest on the podcast. And what we thought happened at first was that he's a comedian too, he claims, George Janko. And he tried to get into a roasting battle with Bobby Lee back and forth. And of course, he was outgunned and he got roasted and uncomfortable and left the show. That's what we thought happened. Then we find out later on, it was all edited out, that actually what happened is Bobby Lee started the show by putting his balls in this guy's face. And then throughout the whole episode was ignoring him, had his back to him, and then kept grabbing the guy's dick over and over, grabbing his dick. And he wouldn't acknowledge him. And then at the end was also like shitting on him. So basically, Bobby Lee sexually assaulted George Janko and got away with it.
Has that been proven anywhere?
Yeah, no. George Janko said it. He did a podcast.
So he said that.
Brought it up, and he was like giving Bobby Lee leeway where it's like, the reason I bring it up is what you said before. It's like when someone's a comedian, somehow you can get away with crimes.
That's always been a weird one to me. Like, I guess I was lucky enough to have enough black friends to where the pretending to be gay together part of white guy comedy never was part of my purview. Like, so it is a weird thing that is, and it was that way when I was in like locker rooms and shit too. Like I played hockey and football in middle school and high school and stuff. And my hockey locker room was actually more black than you would imagine. But we had like 2 black players on our hockey team. And then like our football team was probably 70-80% black. And so like there was no gay fucking around in the locker room with football. But like if the black dudes were not playing hockey that week, the white dude, it's just like the joking around and the fucking around with each other got really gay. And that's like a side of comedy.
Yeah. What are you, like, gay? You won't suck a cock? That type.
Yeah, I get it's funny. Like I'll joke about it all the time. I'm talking about like the grabbing each other's dicks kind of thing.
No. I've never seen that happen.
Never been funny to me at all. Like,
not only not funny, I've never seen that happen. And also Bobby Lee, who just got away from these allegations of the whole story that he R-worded underage prostitute. And he just got away and said that was a joke. That was a fake story he told. It's a joke. It's not real.
That's like the midget comic thing that was like that.
Yeah, but now it's okay. Now he's grabbing guys' dicks. So now is that old story a joke? I don't know. Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Like I've never been like, wouldn't it be funny if I just put my dick on this guy? Like that's never been a thought of like, this will be like, I'm more of the, hey, wouldn't it be funny to put the N-word in this joke? Like I'm not a let's touch dicks comedian.
Bobby Lee is also 52 years old.
Oh yeah. He's older than me. I know that.
He's a grown adult man and he's grabbing guys' dicks. And also I've seen him on Tiger Belly pull his dick out in front of guests without consent and just like wave it in their face. It's like, dude, in this day and age, really?
That just seems like a bad choice.
It's just a joke. It's comedy. Young Kirks For an Australian $2. Australian dollars are worth more than US dollars, aren't they? Or am I wrong?
No.
He says, Lossless, do you respect Josh Denny? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. He was professional, more professional than fucking Aaron Imholte, who said he was going to come on my show 2 weeks in a row and then bailed on me last fucking minute because he couldn't figure out how a green screen works. That's a story for another day. Aaron, you better do my show. You don't want me in this fucking dabble verse, whatever the fuck it's called. You don't want me doing this.
Isn't Stuttering John still at the center of all that?
Yes.
And he's got it. Stuttering John's got to be loving that Aaron is just taking all the heat off him right now.
The funny thing is, I have like massive history and connections to the Howard Stern show and the Whack Packers and Peta Network.
This to me.
Yes.
Yeah, with Permanent Friends people. And
yeah. Pod Trash was my old site, and Howard used to play our clips all the time. And even I'm not involved in the Dabbleverse. Even I'm not interested in like, let me start covering Shuli Network is basically a copy of Pod Trash Network, my old site. You don't see me involved in that shit. I don't get the Dabbleverse thing, but hey, to each their own.
It's almost impossible to like completely
member berries for Stern fans.
It's almost impossible to completely avoid it in the world of comedy because there's so much overlap. Like I think if Dick and Vito didn't cover it, I would be even more removed from it. But like they're two of my LA comedy friends. And I watch their show. That's one of the only podcasts I watch regularly just because I enjoy it. I think it's funny. And while a lot of it lately has been about this other stuff that's going on, you know, the format of the show is cool. I like it. And I've always had fun when I've been on it. But yeah, it's like, you know, the funny idea to me that Mike thinks he's going to like turn them against me because it's a better move podcast wise is like, you know, he doesn't understand Dick at all because Dick is one of those people who very much like understands the world of podcasting and talking shit and getting your numbers up. But like when he gets off his show, he's like a normal dude who lives a normal life. And, you know, that's probably why we're friends is because when you erase all the internet bullshit, like we're funny dudes who enjoy each other's company. So
a guy just sent me a video. He says, I have to play this. I don't know what the fuck this is. Let me see. Oh, wait. Hold on. Let me see. You're not going to be able to see it. What is this?
There's one meerkat nearby who doesn't have the luxury of group protection.
Oh, it's Patrick.
Yeah. This was very gay. By the way, this was not in my apartment. This was in this Sherman Oaks apartment. Yeah. When Patrick and Segura showed me this video, I was like, what's the joke?
Her solitude.
I've never seen this.
Yeah, this is super. I never understood what was supposed to be funny about this.
Is by starting a group of her own.
Take off your hat.
But first, she needs to find an unrelated roving male for a
There's
mate.
a reason I'm not in this with Patrick and Segura.
Perhaps her luck is about to change.
Someone's capping off your point. Someone's capping off your point. They're giving you a layup here.
Time hanging out close to the Whiskers in recent
months.
What's
going on?
And he always has a partner on his mind. For Tosca, this could be her ticket to a new life. For Carlos, this looks like an opportunity too good to miss.
By the way, Patrick, get me that super tip, man. I need it.
It's early morning, and the Whiskers have spent the previous night like any other, sleeping safely below ground.
This is definitely going on for way too long.
While they've been cozy and warm in the
What is
burrow,
happening?
the Kalahari rain shower has come and gone. And with a
Like, is
cool
the bit
damp
that
day,
it's taking too long?
there's the promise of a good day's foraging ahead.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
This is. I mean, I remember him showing me this and being like, "Dude, what the fuck,
Bro.
bro?"
For the Whiskers,
Being gay, always funny.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's so funny that somebody sent this, and yeah, because I remember when this came out, he goes, dude, I just filmed this really funny thing with Segura, and I go, oh, cool, let me see it, and then I played this, and I was like,
Did you stop talking to him?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, by the way, it was not long after this that Segura just completely stopped talking to Patrick.
Cool,
and that's
man.
probably the right.
Gotta go.
By the way, whose idea was this? Was this a Patrick idea that Tom had to be sold on, or was this like a mutual collab?
Probably
but
both
you know
in
what?
on it.
The part back where I was
he's
like,
bigger than Patrick. So if someone forced someone, it had to have been Patrick.
yeah,
Just by size alone.
Yeah,
Intimidation.
I completely forgot about this, but this is a perfect example of like nothing about this was ever like, yeah, dude, this is awesome. This is like so creepy.
God damn. Oh yes, people pointing out he lost a lot of weight. It's not Ozempic. They call it fasting. You think he did Ozempic?
No, he did. He told everybody what he did, didn't he? This is when he was in New York. He lost a bunch of weight doing the Luis Gomez diet.
Did Denny
Like
just
he let Luis tell him what to eat and how much exercising to do because he thought it would get him in with the Legion of Skanks guys. Like everything about Patrick's social life has been like social climbing. That was one of the cringiest things when we were both out here in LA. He was really trying to get in with like a couple of the guys that were regulars on Redbar back in the day, like Mike Bridenstine and Mike Burns, and like a bunch of these dudes were part of this group called the Blurreds, which was like a sketch / comedy group that was out of Chicago. And I knew all those guys because when I started doing stand up, I started in Minneapolis and Chicago in 2006. So when I would do mics with all these guys like Kumail, TJ Miller, Mike Bridenstine, Mike Burns, Kyle Kinane, like all those dudes were in that local scene when I started. And then like those guys were really on when we moved to LA in 2009. When I moved to LA in 2009, I think Patrick moved in 2009 or 2010. But like, I remember us having conversations where he's like, yeah, I'm producing a podcast for like Mike Bridenstine and Mike Burns and Gentlemen Scumbags. And they're like, dude, if I get in with them, then I'm going to get in here and I'm going to get in. And I was like, okay. And he was like, yeah, isn't that great? And I was like, yeah, okay. Like the fact that you would like premeditate your friendships with people based off of like what you think it would do for your career is cringe to me. And I've never been like that. And it was one of the main, like when we were friends, like there's a period of time where we were best friends. We were hanging out like all the time. And that was a main point of contention for us where I was like, you know, if you want to have a career, let's make stuff. And he was like, no, I'll just get in good with so-and-so. And then what was funny is the guy he's jerking off right here asked him to help him set up his own podcast. And Patrick was like, I'm the podcaster. Fuck you. And then this guy is the biggest guy of all of those guys. I mean, I didn't see their dicks in Patrick's hand, but I'm just saying the guy who probably could have helped your career, you told him and his wife to go fuck themselves and that they were on their own to create their podcast. And that was your area of expertise. And now this guy's one of the biggest comics in America. And you're talking about steel toe.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, also Segura's been catching some shit too, right? Recently because of he's the rich guy. He's lost touch with the.
Oh no! Tom has always thought he was better than everybody. I've known Tom since this. Tom has always thought he was better than everybody. And if you ever didn't know that, then you haven't been following Tom very long. He's always been a condescending dick. That's part of his charm. That's why I think it's so funny. It's only the new Segura fans and they're really Burt fans because Burt prides himself of being like an everyman and Tom is not that and he's never been that. So I just think it's funny. But yeah, these people like, oh, Tom's lost touch. Tom was never a man of the people. He's never been in touch. He's always been a condescending cunt.
From what I saw, he's always had a very nice studio. He's always been a guy, from what I've seen. I haven't followed him a long time, but I didn't see what the issue was.
He and Christina used to do their show out of their apartment too.
Yeah, they have a nice looking studio.
I remember Patrick telling me when Segura asked for him to help them set up their podcast. And he was like, you know, Patrick's answer for why he wouldn't do it. And I told Segura this when we were on a show at the store together, like right before the pandemic. Patrick was like, well, dude, I helped Marin set his whole thing up and he's never had me on once. And so I'm not helping other people anymore. And I was like, okay, I guess that's a move to say I'm never going to help other people compete with me as comedians. And then, you know, when I talked to Segura about that, he goes, yeah, he literally was like, I don't want to help other people with their podcasts. And so we were like, okay, we just went and got somebody else. And they're just like, you know, they've never, what's funny is Patrick and Mike too, like all these guys think the reason that like bigger comics don't fuck with them is because they were small time or they're not bigger or they don't have more fans or whatever. And it's like, or they don't think they're good enough. It's none of that. It's none of that. Like talking with both Bert and Tom, who were both at one point really good friends with Patrick. They both said to me, dude, his attitude about everything sucks. He just has a miserable fucking attitude. He's unpleasant to be around. And nobody wants to be around a fucking snuffleupagus, that was Tom's words, like who's just moping around and pissy all the time and is never, you know, like it's okay to fail or it's okay to not succeed, but don't make it feel like everyone else around you feel like it's their burden to bear too.
Yeah, it's one thing if one person says it, but when there's a continuous experience, people keep repeating, like with Mike, that this guy has a certain personality and everyone's saying the same thing. Why is it everyone else is the problem? And if you were a Redbar fan and you saw what happened with Sven, and Sven has been around the whole time, right? He was one of his closest friends and he does a fucking whole hour-long phone call just expressing all the same talking points. The things I've been saying, I've seen people saying the same exact thing in comment sections now, reiterating the same fucking points. He did a shift where he has new fans now, and you're seeing a lot of them in the chat room in here. I think Mike has like a Twitter bots almost. It harkens back to this stupid rap beef. They were accusing Kendrick of having bots. Do you think Mike would buy bots, or do you think his fans are just that similar? Because they all say the same thing. It's like, Redbar's watching. You're on fool's notice. It's got to be bots.
I don't know. Honestly,
wait. Someone said, so this, I missed this before. Someone's like, Loss is upset. He has 100 people watching while Mike has 10,000. You guys realize that Mike uses Twitch chat because he's too cheap to buy his own chat script on his own website. He still uses Twitch chat for his live show. He does not crack more than 200 or 250 people live watching a show. Well, where are you getting this 10,000 from? I understand he's a large show, but he ain't that large. He's still a pretty small-time show. And also, he ran a poll on one of his shows, and there was like 80 people, and he's like, yeah, we'll call it there. That's everyone. So, he even said he doesn't want his show to be huge, in his words. He doesn't have 10,000 people watching him live. Who fucking said that?
I don't think he has 10,000 subs.
No. Yeah, he bought his subs.
Dick's show
he bought fake
is
subs.
one of the biggest. Dick's show is one of the biggest shows of people I know personally, and Dick's show is not even 10,000 subs.
To have 10,000 people watching you, that's usually a channel that has like hundreds of thousands of subscribers at least. You'd have to have like some million subscriber channels get like, you know, maybe 10,000, 15,000. That's a lot. Like a fucking Moist Critical is an example I can think of. He gets like 15,000. You're saying Redbar gets more than Moist Critical? The fuck out of here.
The Dick Show has 3,945 paid members for earnings of $19,418 a month. I don't believe Mike has more than that. And that's, by the way, that's just the Dick Show. The biggest problem also makes, I think, half of that.
Can you ask how many Patreon members Josh has? Is this a joke or?
We have 4. We started a podcast a month ago. or 2 months ago. So.
You got to start somewhere, guys. My channel,
Listen,
this is episode fucking 12, guys. I mean, come on. Give a guy some time.
10 or whatever, but like, you know, we what's funny though is they go, you know, they always move the goalpost. Well, how many patrons do you have? Okay, yeah, we have 4. And oh yeah, hold on. The biggest problem is 1,998. So between their 2 shows, they have almost 6,000 subs.
This is gonna make them mad. Josh,
so
the defense is the troll. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
When they lie about you or they say something about you, you defending yourself, that is the troll. Successfully completed. Yeah.
What was I saying? No.
And letting you know that is gonna make them so mad because they love it. They love it. Because I saw this. What's this guy named Mersh? This guy Mersh that Pot Awful covers all the time, and they'll say something stupid like he does this thing where he like captures all these stray cats from the street, and then he like makes money off of these cats or something like that. And then they were like, "You don't take care of those cats," and they're like, "Where's the vet bills?" And then he's like, "I got the fucking vet bills. I'll show you the vet bills to prove it to you." And it's like that's the troll defending yourself.
Oh yeah, no.
Once you learn that, you fucking win.
Yeah, they
unstoppable.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, no, but they always move the goalpost because of that. Like they're like, oh, your live shows get like 4 viewers. Well, now our live shows get anywhere between 400 and 1,600 live viewers.
That's why they're doing it.
And so it's like, and it was funny. The longest time, like StreamYard wouldn't show you the total; they would just show you the total of the platform you're watching on. Right. But like now that it shows a total in aggregate, we see what the actual numbers are. And what was so funny is like even talking with Ryan from Censored, he was like, damn, dude, your show wasn't doing these kind of numbers live on our network. And I was like, okay, like we are now somehow. So either the numbers that you're showing on Censored are not right, or it was better for us not to be uncensored. So either way, it's best for everybody, right? So, you know, we just started doing the show ourselves, I think in like March. So we haven't even been 2 months yet. And, you know, we're just having fun doing it. We like doing it. It gives us something to do every week. And we pay money to rent our studio to do it. So like the show isn't making money yet, but we like doing it and we want to keep building a thing. And, you know, but again, the podcast that we built is, like basically the way it ended with Censored was when I talked to the guy who's the business half of Censored.
Censored.tv you're referring to.
Yes. Mm-hmm. When I talked to the guy who's the business half of Censored, who's not Gavin, he was like, well, we loved your other show. If you want to go back to doing that, we'll have you do that. And I was like, no, I want to do the sports show. And if we're not going to do it here, we'll just do it on our own because that's what we're interested in doing. Like it's something we enjoy. It's not another fucking news show, which I have no interest in doing. Of like, did you guys see what's on Twitter today? And if we do, it's completely sports related or whatever. But you know, it just feels it's just a more fun circle of topics to talk about for us than Podverse stuff or Dabbleverse stuff, which there's plenty of these shows. Or just like, have you seen this political thing that's going to outrage you? Like, I don't want to do that coverage either. Like that, there's a million shows like that. You don't need my take on anything.
Yeah, it's hard to figure out because like what to cover on a show. And then you could do a show where you just talk with that's the best thing. If you can make that happen where you have another person with you and the whole show could just be you bouncing off each other. So you don't need to really cover things, but you almost get roped into it. Like it's impossible to like ignore things. But that is my favorite thing, a show where it is about the thing happening on the show, or you know, back and forth between other shows responding to each other. But by the way, responding to each other, Mike, if Mike's so scary and Mike Redbar watching, let's see him respond to this fucking episode. You know he's not going to do that. He won't even say my fucking name. He has before, so he knows who I am. He's subscribed to this channel. He's been in one of my live streams before. He's commented on my YouTube channel. Let's see you respond to this one, Mike. Red Bar's watching. Get out of here. Anyway, Josh, I went further than I was. That was fun talking to you, and I'd love to do it again sometime. And I appreciate you coming on, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, anytime, dude. And you know, I appreciate you being a cool dude. And
any last words to the people watching?
Last words? What am I gonna get shot in the head at the end of this?
Yeah, you're dead. Red Bar fans are coming. They're coming to your shows. They're gonna.
Yeah. Oh wait, I thought
they're gonna scream quietly. Red Bar's watching.
Yeah.
By the way, it was Sam High that the failure happened. It was so funny. Sam High was like, "Who is that?" And he's like, "No, I'm just kidding, man." It was like the most calm reaction from Sam High when he got red barred watched. Yeah. That kid looked like he had to be 12.
Well, I don't think, just based off the numbers, based off the numbers of what I see, that's somebody that Red Bar will never go after because he would get obliterated. So I just think it's so funny that like his fans would go out and try to troll Sam, because that's a pod war that Mike does not want any part of.
That's why he didn't cover it too. Like Mike probably idolizes Sam. Sam Hyde has been funnier than Mike ever has, in my opinion. Yeah, Fish Tank is okay. That's all I'll say on that. But that's Nick is a good savior for him too. I love the house reviews. You ever watch that? Yeah, no. Scuffed Realtor? Yeah.
I actually knew Nick more than I knew about Hyde, because I think Nick and I have more mutual fans or whatever, but I think Nick and I are more similar kinds of dudes. Or Nick is a lot more like the guys I grew up with. So my interactions with Nick have been, you know, it's like talking to somebody. I haven't had many, but it feels like I'm talking to somebody I've known my whole life. But yeah, I'll be at some of their shows in LA here in June, hanging out, and it'll be good to like get to press the flesh with those guys and come see them live. And if there are people that are Sam Hyde fans, they should come see him in LA in June, because there's 6 shows here and they're almost sold out. So they're you know, I just like comedy that is like trying to be different in some kind of way. And that makes me like comedians that a lot of people don't think I would like. Like I posted a thing the other day about Maria Bamford. I think she's brilliant, even though a lot of my friends hate her. Like Gavin hates her. Yeah, Gavin hates her. Gavin thinks she sucks. I'm like, okay, well, you know, he knows her personally way more than I do, I think, just from their mutual friends back in the day. But I think she's pretty fucking funny and brilliant. And another one's like Sarah Schaefer from SNL. Or is it Schaefer? No. Or what's her name? She goes by Sarah Squirm. Who's
God
the chick
damn, I haven't seen SNL in a long time, except for Chappelle's monologue.
She's like gross out comic, but she's funny.
Yeah. That's usually the critique against women comics.
Sarah
it's always
Sherman.
my pussy, my vagina.
Yeah, Sarah Sherman, but she does
Amy
like
Schumer.
She does like weird shit that I'm like, okay, well at least that's different. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, there's just like, I just like comedians that are trying to find some unique way to be funny. And listen, man, like, you whether you're a fan or not, it's kind of hard not to look at somebody like Sam Hyde and be like, he's probably the Andy Kaufman of our time, right? Like, in terms of just doing so many different kind of crazy things that
super meta irony, irony,
level 2. Yeah, it's like a level of comedy I don't dabble in at all. Like, I'm not, you know, funny.
Something Mike tries to do, basically.
Yeah, it's like, it's very meta and it's very like, you know, I can appreciate it. Yeah, I can appreciate it without having any desire to do it or try to do it, you know?
Am I being truthful or not? Am I serious or not? Let's see them man titties for $5. Mr. Denny, I'm glad you're doing these shows now. See you on MLC soon. Are you going to be doing MLC?
No, I won't do MLC. I don't like it. By the way, this is the other thing is the reason I did your show, because people will be like, oh, you don't do these shows? You asked me directly, and when I gave you pushback, you addressed it honestly. And, you know, like, Brennan's never had the balls to ask me directly to go on his show. He's had Zumach do it. He's had other people reach out to try to get me on his show.
I think it's an ego thing he wants
yeah.
you to ask.
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
I've heard that I don't know much about it, but someone said that someone else wanted me to go on it with them, and they're like, it's like a battle zone. You become the lolcow and the fodder for the show. It's very hard to exist on that show. I don't know. I've watched it a little bit. Is that true? Is it like
on MLC?
Yeah, he just makes fun of everybody who comes on. Like the guest is the fodder, and they all beat up on them. That's the impression I was given.
Dude, I've never watched a single episode of MLC.
Okay.
I wish.
Well,
I
if
could
that's
say
the
it,
case, I accept the challenge.
That's what I understand. That's what I understand it to be, I guess. And I really only know about Kevin and MLC from Gino, because Gino's a friend of mine, and I know Gino used to go on there and go toe to toe with him, and then they had their almost fight in a studio at Kumia's, which is a very funny moment in podcasting history. And I've just never. Like, since then, I've never had any desire to have anything to do with Brennan. He seems so thin-skinned, and, he reminds me of Patrick in so many ways, where they're just like these guys who spend more time talking about comics and comedy than doing comedy, and it's like, retire and then be that guy. Like, announce I'm not doing comedy anymore, and then be that guy. But, like, it's very hard. People get Vito this shit. But Vito criticizes other people's comics, and then he's about to make a comic. His comic's going to have to be really fucking good now because of all the shit he's talked about other people's comics.
That's true.
Like, that's why you don't talk shit about other comedians' comedy, because, I'm also in the business of making comedy, and I know that I'm going to put my thing out, and no matter how funny it is or isn't, there are going to be people that have decided they hate it before they ever see it. And then there might be some people who like, oh wow, this is actually good, even though I think I hate this person. But
from what I've been told, this Hackamania thing includes stand-up. So there might be, I think it's a live podcast plus stand-up, meet and greet, and Patrick's gonna be walking around the audience like, hey, want to do a private, meet and greet or something like that. That's what I've heard. So there might be stand-up there to judge. Like you said, it's dangerous. To do, I don't know if this makes sense. Can't wait to see Kumia and Gavin on Big Uglies.
Oh, that's our show. Yeah. Why would we bring them on? Then neither of them are sports fans. Oh. We would have Gino on because Gino's a huge sports fan, but there's no point to having Kumia and Gavin on Big Uglies.
Did you say you were on Bill Burr's level? That's what people say. This guy says.
Oh yeah, no, I think I'm funnier than Bill is right now. Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Well, the special is not out yet, so. You can't prejudge. We'll have to see.
I think Bill's gotten super soft, and by the way, I was a huge Bill fan back in the day, but even watching his
Club Random was okay. He roasted the fuck out of
Bill Maher.
Bill Maher, yeah.
But in a way,
that was kind of old Bill.
But in a way, I thought if Maher were a better comedian, he would have crushed Bill, because Bill was doing the thing that he was accusing Bill Maher of doing, where he's like, I'm on the side of the kids. And it's like, yeah, that's a pussy non-opinion. Like, and Maher almost said that, where he was like, well, that's an easy thing to say. And then Bill Burr was like, well, what have you done? And then Bill didn't have a comeback, but it's like, but that didn't make Bill Burr's opinion any more like bona fide. He was being just as self-righteous with his non-opinion. So it's like the apathetic thing of Bill Burr being like, we're all just comedians, what are we gonna do? Like, I don't do any of it. It's like, that's also so the fact that you're not a soldier means you don't get to have an opinion about military intervention overseas. Like, you're taxpayer.
One of my elders, man.
Have a perspective from that point of view. Like, there are people who are in the middle because they don't give a shit, and Bill wants you to think that's him. Bill's in the middle because he's a fucking coward, and there's too much money at stake. Be honest. I can't afford to have an opinion about that. I have too much money out there. That's it. But like, he has this sort of like, I don't care about any of it, Dad. It's like, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do, because you avoid the topics that would actually get you in trouble. Like, he also had a thing a little while ago, like, are people still getting canceled? No. It's like, yeah, there are still like everyday people who are losing their jobs because of tweets or because of, shit that people found that they posted on Reddit. There are women that are losing their jobs because people find out they have an OnlyFans.
That's,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's a weird universe where you got to separate it. Like if you're a guy who is fully earning money off of creative versus, a guy working a 9 to 5, and then he puts out a tweet and gets fired for it. That I would agree is cancellation.
Yes.
That's what separates them. You got to be able to not have a 9 to 5 whatsoever and be fully paid by your, creative outlet to have any luck, trying to be edgy these days. But I think things are swinging back to the center. I said this to you, where every decade the pendulum swings. It was like fully liberal, and they were like, oh, the conservatives are the old farts and they're boring and their old ways of they're prudes, they don't like sex, they're trying to censor. And now it's the other way. I think we're coming back to the center, and it's left a lot of people in a no man's land of where they don't know where they fit politically. Unless you're talking about the main issues like abortion, and
but the
immigration.
The parties aren't even really defined by those things anymore, right? Like, in a weird way, it's like there are people on the right and people on the left that agree on abortion or disagree, or like agree on being for abortion or against abortion. Where there is no overlap is like the trans issue, and probably still like racial shit with reparations. Like, I think those are still two topics that like there is no overlap of which side you're on if you're for something or against something. Like, I think if you believe gender is a choice, that you're definitely on the left. You're definitely on the left.
I don't.
And if you think that black people deserve reparations from, I don't know even how you would do that, white taxpayers, all taxpayers, like, it's an insane thing at this point. Like, you could argue that slavery has had long-lasting effects on America. You could also argue that America's created more black wealth than any other developed nation or underdeveloped nation in the entire world. And here's a real mind fuck. Is that because of slavery? It's not a factor. So am I saying it was good? Yes. No, let's get your podcast taken down. But no, I'm just saying, like,
slavery was great.
So there are really different, like, there's some
of those lot of things I love about slavery. No. Yeah. Someone says here, I go, KB, Kevin Brennan interviews comics, you dope. You think he was battling Doug Stanhope and TJ Miller? Only Dabbleversers get that treatment. Is 1K live views too many? What? Is that you saying he wouldn't go on because 1,000 people's too many for him? I don't understand that comment. Do you?
No, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Wait, you think he was battling?
I think he's trying to say that his format is interviewing comics. No, Kevin's format is bitching about comics. Like, let's not pretend that
he was willing to have me on, guys. I hate to break it to you, I'm not a comic.
Yeah,
just only
douchebag with a microphone. He's saying he interviews comedians, but only Dabbleverses. He only shits on Dabbleverse people, but it's chicken and egg.
Oh, okay.
So again, here's all you need to know is if he has on comics, why has his brother never done his fucking podcast?
That's true.
I don't know if you could hear that burp, but that was very poorly timed. I apologize. But yeah, it's
I didn't know he had a brother. That's how much.
Yeah, his brother's Neil Brennan. His brother is a much more famous,
successful
comedian than him.
I didn't put them together.
When Neil does it, I'll do it. How about that? Have Neil on, and then I'll come on.
There you go. You hear that? Have Neil on, and then Josh will do it.
If your brother doesn't think you suck so much that he'll go on your show, then I'll give you a shot. How about that?
That's fair. That's fair. Damn, I could go all night, Josh. I went longer than I was supposed to. I feel bad. Another guy was supposed to do a show continuing after this, parlaying into that, and I kind of went really long. I feel bad. Oh, wait. Look who's here. Mike is here. Let's see. Is it the actual Mike? Let me double check.
I bet he's been here. The whole time.
No, nah, it's not the real Mike. Not the real Mike. Well, let's see what he says. This guy's closet is open and he's outside it. You might say he's out of the closet. Oh!
Hold on, do you have a car crash or explosion?
No,
sound effect?
I'm not that gay.
Well, if a podcast happens without an explosion, does anybody hear it?
Imagine Morning Zoo radio is cool again, by the way.
Ugh, so cringe.
More cowbell. I don't know. What do I got out here? Nah, I don't got it. I got reverb. That's all I got. I'm a loser. By the way, that's all stolen too. It's from fucking Funk Flex. Remember Funk Flex? Dropping the bomb. You never listened to Funk Flex? That's where you got it from.
Dude, I am not. When it comes to, first of all, when it comes to hip hop, I am like the least. I think Antwoord is cool, so I am terrible.
Antwoord, that's obscure. I actually like them too. I like the movie Chappie. You like? Yeah,
I love Chappie.
That was a good movie.
Dude, I got to see one of the cool things about living in LA.
Weirdos though.
Yeah, oh, totally. One of the cool things about living in LA is that sometimes you get to see movie screenings before the movie is released. And we saw Chappie like a year before it came out. And it was the original director's cut of the movie was a way better cut of the film. He was there, the director, Blomkamp, and like presented the film and then did some Q&A afterwards. But it was really, really cool. And I love the movie. And then, you know, perfect example of like the studio destroying a cool thing where they like completely changed the film from what we saw to what came out. And then of course it tanked. And then I think you can watch the director's cut now, like if you buy it or something. But yeah, I didn't know about them until I saw that movie. And then I was like, this music is kind of cool. And I started listening to it. I was like,
strange.
Yeah,
the woman's voice, I forget her name, gets weird. You're like, at first you're like, oh, it's kind of cringe, but then you start to
Yolandi
like,
Vissa.
Yeah, Yolandi. I think it's just because they South African or something, right?
South African, yeah.
Yeah.
They roll all of their R's.
I think like, you freaky. Yeah. I think you freaky and I like your lap.
They also don't use like it's one of the coolest accents in the world, but they also don't use like talk, they use speak. Like so they'll be like, I was speaking to and he was speaking to me, and like they don't use the word talk the way that we do as like a verb. And
what's your top 3 rap artists? And then we'll get out of here.
Oh man.
Is Kanye even one of them?
I would say Kanye is one of them. It's hard historically, but I wouldn't dare pretend.
Kanye
like
I stopped
Kanyeing after Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Like Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is where he lost.
His lyric ability has gone to shit, and his production is always good. Like I heard some leaks from the Vultures 2. There's a song called Believer that leaked. Go listen to like the leaked version of that. That's gonna be like a huge fucking song. It's just the way he I don't know. The sonic of the song, the sonic, whatever you call it, sonically the song sounds amazing. And then you got suddenly Kanye comes on and he's like, 1 in the pink, 2 in the stink. Like all of it is turned into poopity scoop now.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a really good sense, really dry sense of humor, like very like he's almost like Kaufman-esque. And I don't know if anyone's ever heard him say that Andy Kaufman is a huge influence of his, but he is. And you know, so like but yeah, I would say early Kanye probably in the top 3.
And who would be 2 and 3?
Probably number 2, Busta Rhymes.
Okay, that's not a bad choice.
And then I would say number 3 for me would be Tribe Called Quest.
Those are good.
Maybe
those are good choices. You can't say you're not into hip hop. Tribe Called Quest,
Beastie Boys. Yeah, Tribe Called Quest. Or maybe Beastie Boys. They're probably tied, but like, yeah, I would say, yeah, I would probably put Beastie Boys over Tribe Called Quest just because it was a bigger part of my childhood. But, you know, but like still the bass line to, what the fuck is that? Why am I drawing a blank on the name of that song?
While you're thinking, Mr. Denny, Mr. Denny, any truth to rumors you hired people to heckle and leave your special? Mr. Denny, Patrick has recently said he would like to have you on to squash the beef and hang. What do you say?
No, I know he said that. Not interested.
Damn, not interested?
He can start, listen, if he really wants to, he can start by admitting all the things he lied about.
You can't hear it, but I'm dropping bombs on them.
Low end theory, and then what is the song on that record? Oh, Excursions. Why? How did I not know that? The bass line on Excursions is still one of my all-time favorite. Why did I get so dark?
I don't know. There's a joke there, but I won't say it.
There we go.
You don't know hip hop at all. If he knows Tribe Called Quest, he knows some. But he also started this off by saying he's not a hip hop guy.
No.
God damn, you guys are fucking like vultures. We was vultures.
Yeah, I'm not a real hip hop guy, and
here's my
most
choices.
Most of the rap stuff I like is like rap rock.
Benny the Butcher, Conway the Machine. I'm on and off with. West Side Gun is okay, but his voice sometimes annoys me. This is recent stuff. Not Run the Jewels, but I like
Run the Jewels.
LP. I liked LP better separate from Killer Mike, honestly. What else? What am I listening to recently? Yeah, those are some good ones. Ransom. Let me see.
Yeah, I'm really old. Like all of my
Apple Music did this top 100 albums thing where you can add it to your Apple Music. And it said the number one album was weird, but it was like Abbey Road, The Chronic, Nevermind were like in the top 10. And the number one album was something I never even heard of. It was strange.
I kind of hated what did you just say there? I kind of hated The Chronic in high school because every douchebag I went to high school with was bumping it in their system. By the way, I totally picture Mike David as one of these douchebags who had a system in high school, right? Like subs that they built in their garage and put in their car. Like we had all these like wigger Midwest kids when I went to school in Minnesota, and Mike just reminds me of one of those D bags all day long. And the kid who like drove his car around the school while everybody was hanging out with their friends and bumped his music and smoked cigarettes. So knew, like, I'll be over here if the pussy is curious. It never was.
Dype Beast. He is the epitome of Dype Beast. Like, he'd follow the trends. Now he's like, I love Taylor Swift, unironically. But here's my top three. It would be
Bloodhound Gang. Should I put Bloodhound
Gang? Yeah, they're okay. Benny the Butcher, Conway the Machine, and then Rome Streets and Ransom are very good. And one of the best tracks, listen to Rome Streets and Ransom, No Remorse. It's great. Any of the stuff with Alchemist and Derringer, they do these instrumentals that are like harkening back to the 90s, but they modernized 90s instrumentals. That's what I like. And if you say I don't know hip hop after that, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I'm really, really bad at like modern. I'm pretty stuck in the 90s when it comes to most music or early 2000s. But I really like Lil Dicky too. Like, I know that seems like a homer pick because he's a Philly guy and I'm a Philly guy, but I actually think really enjoy his music.
He made a song called That's a Joke. You saw that? And he made the whole music video where he acted as the Joker. Pretty good actor. The show is more feeding into the music than the music is to the show, but it was like he made a show out of an album. But here's the thing I would say about Little Dicky. If he took it seriously, he could probably really be really good. Like, he's done an album where he was semi-serious and it was almost like on the level of like, he could be like a Drake. I wouldn't say he would be a top tier lyricist, but
Well,
he'd be
I
more
think
mainstream.
I think it's the pilot episode of his show Dave, where he's in the studio and
I like
the guys
show.
finally. Yeah, I love it. And by the way, shout outs to Santino. I think Santino's a phenomenal actor. I think Andrew Santino's a better actor than he is a comic. And that's not a slight on his comedy. It's just how highly I think of him as an actor. He was incredible. He was like the only really, really good actor in that Showtime show that was loosely about the Comedy Store in the 70s. I'm Dying Up Here. He was really good in that, and he's really good in Dave. But that pilot episode of Dave where Lil Dicky does the freestyle at the end of it, I was like, holy shit, this guy's legit a very good rapper. To your point, if he took it seriously and tried to make like a for real hip hop record, it'd probably be incredible.
The best episode of Dave was the one with Brad Pitt, where
that's the finale of the last season.
Yeah, where the obsessed woman fan, he starts as a PA and then ends up at his house, and then Brad Pitt shows up and they're stuck in this like hostage situation. That's fucking. That was awesome.
We quote a line.
My balls off.
We quote a line from that episode. It's so funny that you bring that up. Carl and I quote a line from that episode every fucking time. Like we go to a new place and it's like a cool place. Like one of us will go like, man, this restaurant's actually pretty nice. And I go, oh yeah, Kegel Michael Key lives like right around.
yeah.
He's trying to explain his neighborhood and he calls him Kegel Michael Key. Dude, it's the hardest I laugh watching that show. And I probably quote it once a week or twice a week. Like anytime somebody's like, oh, it's actually kind of a nice place. Like, yeah, Kegel Michael Key was right around the corner. It's the dorkiest fucking shit I ever said. But yeah, it's great show. And you know, I was not into Little Dicky. Like my friends like Little Dicky before, and I never really heard anything. And then I watched the show, and then I got really into him. And then my what do you call it? I completely lost my train of thought there.
Well,
but yeah,
we got it.
Yeah,
someone says, can you play even longer sound effects to play over your guests talking? Mr. Denny, will you be on Your Mom's House, Kill Tony, or any podcast of that ilk to promote that special? Is it okay that Kill Tony makes fun of comedians? God damn, this guy keeps going. Mr. Les, can you play one of Mike Redbar's original songs for Josh to listen to and rip on? Turnabout is fair play, weekends off, or be mean with me.
Oh, by the way,
we heard him do karaoke before.
Yeah, that was, and by the way, he and Melton
he's a princess.
He and Melton were releasing rap songs at the same time.
We'll be here all fucking night.
Do you forget that? They were back and forth. They were almost like battling to who could be a rapper faster too.
And they both sucked. And they're both trying to be Eminem. Mike took a bunch of money to make a rap album. I believe $10,000, right? And to do what? He already had the equipment. What did he need the money for? It's funny, and I can prove this. I played one of his songs where he's like, I just want to do some drugs, blah, blah. It's one of these, that's the song if you recognize it. And I got claimed, and I was like, oh, what is this claim? And it turns out, yeah, all the instrumentals are like free beats. So he just took free beats, rapped over them, and then took $10,000 from you guys. And the story I heard, because I'm friends with someone who's a very, very old Redbar fan, who Mike used to sell his shoes to, by the way, and I asked him $20 for cigarettes. Yeah, he bought a motorcycle. So he took the $10,000, said, I'm going to make a rap album, and bought a motorcycle with it. So good job, guys. You got Mike a new motorcycle. You guys never got that. The rap album, like, I don't know if it actually even came out officially, but all the beats are stolen. He didn't even make the beats. What was that?
It was the 2 tracks, right? They only released 2 tracks.
I just want to do some drugs. I don't know. That's the whole song. Hey kids, some people did drugs when they were young. Yeah, it was awful. It was like trying to sound like Eminem. It's very gay. Mr. Les, can you play one of them? Can Mr. Denny respond to all the questions?
I feel like I've done that. I feel like I've done it so many times. The funny thing is
I appreciate it though.
if you go back and watch me, all the times I've answered these questions or talked about them on different shows or even on my own podcast, the answers don't change. So that's one thing that, like, I'll put that up against anybody is like my explanations and answers don't change for things.
Jesus, whose tits are these in the fucking, I don't know, some weird tits in the guy's avatar. It's not you.
No, they're not mine. Mine are way less dark.
I think that's an actual T. Mr. Lessie, would free beats get copyright claimed? Yes, they would. Yes, because it would claim it, and then it says it's free to use or whatever. Yes, it does. YouTube captures all the music that you play.
Yeah, we play music before we start our show. We play music before we start our show, and the minute that live stream is done, it immediately gets AI claimed from the music that was in the stream before we started it. So those episodes aren't even available to post until I go in and cut out, the dead time at the beginning of those episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I can literally
that's how fast the YouTube AI works. Is like the second our live stream is over, it's like, this has been claimed.
Oh, but it goes both ways. Like right after it ends, it'll claim a bunch of stuff, but then also it'll capture things weeks later where I clear everything out and then I go, oh, it's clear now. And then weeks later it'll go, oh, we captured this because I think what happens is the person who owns the content can see in their back end that someone used it and they go, oh, this video has some decent views. Let's start claiming it. So that happens too. Like I've gotten claims weeks later for stupid things that shouldn't even be owned by anybody. I'm not going to scroll back in here, but I could have told you guys the name of the fucking track. He just stole the track. He didn't make it himself. So he didn't produce the music. He already had the equipment because he had Redbar Productions. He had all the stuff. What did he spend the money on? Mixing and mastering? Please. But anyway, we'll be here all night, man. I appreciate you, Josh. We got this guy who keeps donating over and over again.
Hey, keep taking his money.
I know, but it's $2. You should have just donated once.
Oh, kill Tony? What's that? That's not even a question. Kill Tony, question mark?
You can't charge that back, by the way. So, thank you. Let's see them, man. Titties. Yeah, he's not going on any of these shows, I guess. Thank you, everybody.
I'm not going to go on Kill Tony or any of those. I mean, if I were invited to do them, I would do them, but I wouldn't perform on Kill Tony.
You're going to get invited after this.
Yeah.
This is your moment. We're gonna.
But no, I've never I'm friendly with Red Band. I've done a bunch of shows with Tony, but I wouldn't say I'm friendly with Hinchcliffe. I just don't really know him at all. But Brian,
you know him now. Well. They call me Tony Hinchcliffe.
Yeah, I know. I saw that in the chat. Somebody said phony Hinchcliffe. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. I was
like, damn, do I really sound like Tony Hinchcliffe?
No, I don't think so. I just think it's the fact that you know, the same race and general.
No, it's going to stick with me forever now, man.
If you shave the beard and everything, it'd probably be worse.
I'm going to unalive myself after this. Will Mr. Denny give Mike Redbar respect for creating art like he has said before he would give anyone?
Doesn't make any sense.
Dude, you're saying his show is art now? All right, get the fuck out of here. Okay, Josh, thank you for coming on again. I'm going to end this now and appreciate it. Love to have you on again because I could have continued going on.
Yeah, maybe when the special's out, you can.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll come to your show instead of the big ones that everyone's mocking me for not going on.
Appreciate that, definitely, and I'd love to see it and hope it does well and everything, and we can help you promote it when it comes out. Yeah. Any last questions, guys? Get it in now. I'm ending. It's enough. The fuck. Lossless is Hinchcliffian. Yes.
Like a race of person now.
I mean, there was a shit ton of questions of just people who said stuff, but they didn't super chat it. But content ID on YouTube is instant and will warn you as you're streaming. Blah blah blah. No, not all of them. Some of them. Oh, he says it's a manual claim, maybe, but I've gotten them before. Ron Carter played the double bass on that album. Denny claims he's against abortion and also claimed he'd go a cleaning woman pregnant and got her an abortion. I saw that was one of the things. I was like, did you have a Randa ZZ moment? One of the
No,
things
no,
is
no,
like you
no.
said
That wasn't.
you're in a
That was
plane.
not. That was not a Ran as easy moment. There were like,
You went
you know,
into a
it's funny.
joke.
I'm trying to think of like
Too
what
far.
were the Ran as easy moments on NLO. Like the only one that I can think of where I maybe like embellished the story a little bit
It was the plane thing, right?
Not at all. No, not at all. Because that was never even a conversation we had on the show. It was like a conversation we had an argument about. And then when Patrick tried to say that I was lying, he's like, "Were you in a plane crash?" I was like, "No." But it wasn't like
I was actually in the plane that hit the World Trade Center. By the
Oh,
way.
you were?
Yeah, Tower 2.
Earlier flight that day?
Yeah. Well, that was your defense. You said it's funnier to tell the story and embellish it. You were just at the airport when it happened.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. And
who else makes up lies and fake stories? By the way, Redbar fans. Elon boarding school.
Oh yeah, that's a fun one. But anyway, no, the maid story was real. It was by the way, she was not like a Craigslist maid. It was like a buddy of mine was like, "Yeah, she cleans houses. You should use her." And not like that, but it ended up going. It was very much like the Seinfeld thing of like, and it was funny because I hadn't seen that Seinfeld in forever before that. And then when I went and rewatched Seinfeld, I go, "Oh yeah, it was almost exactly like this." But no, and by the way, I don't know that she ever was pregnant or ever got the abortion or whatever. I was just at that time very, very clear that like if she had it, I would not let her keep it, that I would raise it, and that she would be sent back to Mexico. And so then she said, okay, I do abortion. And who knows if she did or if she was ever even pregnant in the first place or what. But I have to believe that if she were and kept it, that I would have found out when I had a TV show. Like, I imagine that would have come out of the woodwork when she thought I might have had some money or something. But, you know, on the off chance that, you know, she was pregnant and didn't get an abortion because I didn't check, right? Like I never saw her again. And I have a child out there. Like, yeah, I would do the right thing at this point as much as I could. And by the way, my views on it have definitely changed since that happened. And I think I handled that when it happened like a 20-something asshole, selfish asshole, and definitely have a different opinion now as a 41-year-old guy that I would have handled that way different. But that's part of like
people evolve.
Growing up. Yeah, man. And just having my mind changed by...
Imagine you changed your political belief or any sort of belief. Fucking asshole. You're not allowed to do that.
It's well documented on one of my podcasts that I did with a comic named Adam Yenzer, who's a very conservative comedian here in LA. And he and I like debated. I always had like the cool guy libertarian view on abortion where it's like, well, they're going to do it anyway, so why have a law against it? And then we like debated that for an hour on the show. And he basically like beat me up in the argument so bad that I was like, you're right. I actually am completely wrong about this. And I've been thinking about it incorrectly. And I don't have a good moral argument and I don't have a good legal argument. And you're right. And it completely changed that discussion completely changed my opinion. And it's a great example of like a debate that actually does change somebody's mind. And it happens in real time on the episode. And so I credit him, which he hates, but I credit him for completely changing my perspective on it. And then like when you start to talk about it more and you talk with women about it, you find out all these horror things. Like, you know, there's like a significant number of women who die getting the procedure done every year because none of these clinics actually have any medical life-saving like technology or whatever on hand. And sometimes there are abortion clinics where there aren't hospitals within an hour. So like if a girl starts getting the procedure and starts to bleed out, there might not be anybody there trained to handle it, right? Like handle other medical problems that could arise in the process. And then they're an hour away from a hospital. So like there's like, not to be like one of these guys, but there are some cool like pro-life influencers like Summer, I think it's Higoshi or whatever. She's like a redheaded chick, looks like she could be my sister, but she's like one of these people who will has done a bunch of talks and everything where she talks about these dangers of the process that women are never informed of. and they just think like, oh, it's my body, my choice. And then some of them almost die, you know, in the process of having an abortion. So the whole like, well, what if the life of the mother is at risk? Is that a reason to kill the child? Or actually, that more often happens getting the procedure than going through with the pregnancy. So anyway, there's not a lot of there's all kinds of things you can go down a rabbit hole. But pretty much having my mind changed and then going and just getting even more educated on it has pushed me even further the other way. And I think there's like, now I think it's affected us in a psychological way as a society, where I think like we have such a disregarding like opinion of human life that it's what makes us so horrible to each other all the time. So I think that's a contributing factor to that. It's a bigger philosophical conversation for another time, but
Kanye
yeah,
said it was population control and all the abortions going on in Chicago. I remember that. Ooh,
I think that's the.
I'm just watching man titties empty his wallet.
That's 100%. I think the bit. Why does government like it? Of course, it's self-regulation. So they love to tell us that it's our freedom to do that, so that we control the population ourselves. Like, you know, pretending that, like, tricking us into thinking that killing ourselves is good for us when it's actually only good for the government is one of their best tricks that they've ever pulled on the American people. And, you know, of course it works because it affects women, and they're the dumbest sect of American people, unfortunately.
Very true. And let's end on that note. We can save this for another time. I could talk about so many things forever. I can go 20 hours. Redbar can go 8. I can go 60 hours. Right? Man titties. Patrick will be reaching out. Mr. Denny will be offering to come clean about all lies. Well, Mr. Les allow Josh to blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter. All right. Josh, thank you for coming on, man.
Have a good one.
Let me know when the special comes out. Give me a heads up on it, all right?
Will do.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
All right, everybody. That's Josh Denny. That was great. That was great. Oh, I kept wondering, why did it keep doing Jesse Ventura, but I couldn't see it. It's because I don't have the alerts on the other sources. But thank you guys. There you go, Mr. Josh Denny. He is our friend now. So leave him alone. Leave him alone. Josh Denny's on my payroll. I'm just gonna collect all of Mike's fools like Infinity Stones. What is this? Open this link. I don't know. I don't want to play it because what ended up happening is it fucking claimed me last time. I don't know what. Okay. Okay, if this gets claimed, I'm cutting it out. So you're going to get an exclusive. Mike David is very, in quotes, money. You know what I mean? Mike David makes music for the kids. All right, thank you everybody for tuning in. That was a great show. Go check out Comedy Shaman if he's still live. I'm not sure if he is. I hope he is. But thank you everybody and good night. See you maybe next week. We'll see. Aaron Imholte, do my show or I'm gonna unalive you.
make me mad.